Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. For episode 101, I want to welcome you to the Gaming Circle podcast. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. If you're out there and you can hear me, I want a response in the chat. I am your host, Mr. K Asante, TKO Asante on your X.com, your Threads, and your Blue Sky. Oh my God. And I'm, of course, joined by Mr. Everborn Saga. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I am checking on an RGB dock that I bought for the ROG Ally, JSOC, and they have not shipped it yet, and I ordered it on July 26th. That's how
good
I'm
brand.
doing.
Good brand. Nah, JSOC is good. I like them. Yeah, I don't mind them.
July 26th was a long time ago.
Well, but you know,
and I want my ish.
Just because JSOC that makes good stuff doesn't mean they used a good distributor to send it to you. Maybe your problem is with FedEx or UPS, sir.
I hear you. But what's going on, man? We thought we had no news this week, and then the news guys delivered late last night, so we will talk about that, I suspect, in short order.
Yeah, no, actually, you believe it or not, funny enough, I hate to say it, but the news gods actually did me wrong this week, because I was looking forward to having the conversation on the topic we were going to have. And then, of course, because things happen, then you have to obviously quickly adjust, and put a different topic in front. But my I was excited to come to you guys and have some interesting conversation this week. But we'll get into it. But before we get there, Mr. Everborn Saga, I must ask you, what has been the thing that has been keeping you on these X streets this week? I haven't been paying that much attention because work has been kicking my butt.
Do you want to know what I'm playing, or do you want to know the drama in the
streets? No, we'll get to what you're playing, because we have a full conversation, and we're saving the shmup conversation for the end, because there is a shmup conversation that's on the end. But what's been keeping you busy this week, sir? Games and otherwise. The drama first.
Well, all right. Drama first. There has been this sort of false dichotomy between somehow Starfield and Larian's Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes. Speak on it, sir.
And I don't know where I do know where it's coming from. I think it was all designed, right? So let's just do a little history lesson real quick. Okay. It came out during the whole ABK stuff, and we're not talking about ABK today, although it may close this coming week, but we'll save that for next week's. Oh, there won't be a show next week. I'm going on vacation, going to DR.
Oh, there's the man live on air. Yeah. Thank you so much. There will be no show next week because he's going to unless I find a co-host.
Yes.
We shall see. Okay, good to know.
Maybe you can get Joanna Dark and Slow-Mo on here, and you can be like a Sonic bashing episode while I'm away. Not able to
no, it's even more fun when you're around when we bash Sonic, because it's hard for you to we love hearing your rebuttals. It's always hilarious. But echo chamber Sonic bashing is not as fun,
All right, so here's the thing. It came out that the Xbox version of Baldur's Gate 3 would not launch at the same time as the PlayStation version, and everyone thought, oh, here's another money hat from Sony. So Larian was quick to come out and say, no, this is not any sort of exclusivity deals, it is just technical issues, right? Then people pressed Larian, and Larian basically threw the Series S under the bus.
Yes, they did.
Now, okay, they say it's the Series S, right? And then that brings the whole held back conversation, which is nonsense.
Bring on the held back convo, ladies and gentlemen.
There are people playing Baldur's Gate right now on the Steam Deck, and it's running just fine. So we know that the game itself wasn't held back.
No.
But then the conspiracy brain starts to run, and I say, well, wait a minute. Why so publicly bring up the Series S? And then you start to see a little bit of their marketing, right? A Western RPG running at 60
I see what
FPS
needle
on
you're
day
threading,
one.
sir. I see what needle you're
Wait a
threading.
minute.
It's a
Wait a
dangerous
minute.
needle
Wait a
to
minute.
thread, sir.
Wait a
Oh
minute.
boy.
Listen, I'm here. I want the smoke.
Okay.
So then,
Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Picture the tinfoil hat emoji already on him because it's going left. Let's go. Okay, go ahead. And then
so then, we see that they're putting things out 60 FPS on day one right after the Starfield 30 FPS confirmation came out, right? And I said, okay, that's fine. Their game 60 FPS on day one. There's nothing wrong with telling the truth, right? Tell the truth, shame the devil. But then we see that they moved around their launch date. And their launch date is the same street date as Starfield. So now I start to say, wait a minute. Nobody was talking about Baldur's Gate, right? We knew it was coming because they announced it years ago, right? The beta was out for a very long time. People are very familiar with this game, but nobody was talking about it, like, at least not in the way of they talk about Starfield. And then they bring up the Series S controversy, and now everybody's talking about Baldur's Gate and Larry, right? There's no billboards for Baldur's Gate 3, but everybody's talking about it. And I'm not saying that's the only reason they're talking about it, but I'm saying in my hellscape algorithm, every time Larian is mentioned, the Series S is mentioned right next to it, or Xbox. Right?
Okay. So are you insinuating that they put themselves in a position to compete against Xbox? Like they knew that PlayStation needed one, and they basically put themselves on the front and said, "Hi, we'll be your competitor."
So let's take the thought experiment a little bit further, Your Honor.
We are really putting the tinfoil hat on early this morning, aren't we? Okay, continue, sir.
So then,
and then,
so now you have the same release date as what do you call it? As Starfield, right? Now, I would posit to you and anyone, I challenge anyone in here to tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
If Baldur's Gate, a full price game, came out on Xbox the same day it was coming out as the other platforms, and the same day as Starfield, a game that is in Game Pass, how many people will play Baldur's Gate, a classic RPG, versus a Bethesda action RPG, sci-fi, guns, whatever, in Game Pass?
Believe it or not,
30 million people in Game Pass.
Believe it or not, that is a fight that's very, very, very hard for PC people, because Larian is close to PC people's heart. They are the original, the Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. Yeah, no, exactly. Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 really speaks to a certain subset of OG RPG, Western RPG lovers. Like bringing that in competition directly with the makers of Skyrim, it's a bigger fight than I would posit in those spaces. It might be a bigger fight than Elephant Tusk versus Rat Sonic, but
right.
Yeah.
But we're talking about on the Xbox platform.
True.
How well would it do on the Xbox platform?
On the Xbox platform, the console people don't have the same reverence for Larian. Most people haven't even played their game, so it's a different conversation. Yeah.
Right. And Lucius Augustus points out, isn't it funny that they moved the PC date out
and
of
you
the
know
way?
You know what? Let's bring the folks. Launch. Let's bring the folks into this conversation, please, because there have been a few of them. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here this morning. Let's take a quick pause on the tinfoil slander. Let me get some folks in here.
Because I got
first
more.
And foremost, I'm sure you do, bro. You build it up all week and then you let it out on this show. Pause. Anyway, Mr.
I never wait that long.
Mr. Gerald Mack. Oh, that's terrible. With a $10 super chat this morning, he says, "Shout out to the Gaming Circle podcast. Salute Asante Everborn Saga. Graybeards are the foundation of the community. It's not a console war. It's a content war. Ooh, gamers gonna game. Hashtag them boys, we out here. All right, brother.
Talk about it.
Thank you, sir, for being
Talk
here.
about it.
The brother's always representing, and we here for him. I hope to get him back on the show sooner rather than later. I know life changes things, and sometimes you can't make it, but we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll get him on this show as soon as we can. Once again, appreciate you for being here. Corey Tidwell with a $2 super chat saying he put the tinfoil kufi on. Oh man, bro.
Tinfoil kufi, baby.
Man, that is the idea. Screw the hat. No, we need the tinfoil kufi. All right. Thank you so much for adding to that. From now on, that'll be what we strive for. We need to find a way of making it look like it's a kufi, but still tinfoil. All right. Gotta get some animators on that. That's a good one. I appreciate that. That's good. And then, of course, Mr. Lucius Augustus, $2 super chat. Isn't it funny how they moved that PC release? Yeah. You guys are really on that train of Larian is putting themselves out there.
Let me bring this. Let me land this plane. But get Mr. Joanna's Dark.
Mr. Joanna Dark. Mr. Joanna Dark. Always here. Always representing. Refusing to take the boot off the neck, ladies and gentlemen. He says with a $2 super chat, 76 days until Mario Wonder destroys the blue rat, aka Elephant Tusk Mario is out here.
In your dream. But anyway, so
go ahead.
So the thing is, I think anyone could reasonably say that on Xbox in that specific launch window, Larian would not do the best that it could do otherwise. That's the,
sure. Oh yeah, most definitely. They don't want that smoke.
Way I can put it.
That is for sure. So, they don't want that smoke.
So now, take your conspiracy hat off and put your business hat on.
Okay.
If you know
business kufi, let's go.
A medium-sized studio, 400 employees, and you know this is a classic RPG, and you know your bread and butter's PC, right? And you know you have a limited amount of resources and a finite amount of time to deliver this thing. Do you? Because I have no issues with. Well, I do, and I'll get to that. But do you, studio head at Larian, say, I have this many developers, I have this much time. Am I going to devote X amount of time towards the Xbox platform when I know in that launch window I'm going to get buried? Or do I say I'm going to devote resources to my number one audience, which is PC, then devote resources to PlayStation, which has twice the number of units out there, plus it'll be counter programming because they don't have a big title out at that time and they'll be looking for an RPG to play? Do I devote my resources there and then get to the Xbox platform when the Starfield hype dies down? Or do I take developers away from these platforms where it's really going to sell on day one? Right? I think anyone in their right mind would do the same thing. I have no issue with that. My problem is, if I am correct, and I think that I am correct, right? This is a business decision. It is a resource constraint issue. They say they will get the problem solved. It will take more time. But if they put more developers on it now and prioritized it, obviously they kind of got it done. But why do that if you know Xbox has Starfield coming out?
Sure.
You know that's where all the hype is. You know Starfield is in Game Pass.
Yeah.
So why not put your resources to the place where Starfield is not? I mean, PC is PC, so whatever. But put your console resources towards PlayStation. And then you maybe take the Xbox back later. Maybe put it in Game Pass. Who knows? Maybe not. But you release it later after you hit your dates. Now, in doing so, you have even further brought Larian and Baldur's Gate 3 into the limelight because the console warriors are going to console war. And whether it's just a business decision for you, it's no ill will, it's no money hat from Sony, you now, and I guarantee you Sony's going to play this up for their own selfish reasons, right? So you're probably going to get free marketing dollars. You're going to get
you become counter programming. Yeah.
Right? You're going to get organic hype from the console warriors. There's conversations about it. And now everybody's talking about Baldur's Gate. Top that off with the fact that you have a fantastic game to back up all this
True.
manufactured hype from.
Yeah.
So why not do it this way? My issue is if you're going to do that, and it is a business decision, and it is a sound business decision, why throw the Series S under the bus?
Yeah,
right.
Well,
you're throwing the Series S under the bus as a business decision and a marketing tool for how you wanted to devote your resources. All you had to say is, we're a small team, we're focusing on one platform at a time. That's it. You didn't have to go through this whole thing, and you got a communications director at Remedy talking like he's a dev, saying, "Trust me, bro, it's an issue on the Series S." Like the Series S is holding things back.
But hold on. To your point, though, like if we're taking your thought experiment to its fullest capabilities here, to your point, that could be why they were slandering the Series S, right? If you want the competitor to see you as counter-programming, what do? You slander the competitor. So PlayStation looks at you like, that's a guy we want on our team, right? Hey, now, where's that meme that Idris Elba? Hey, now keep talking. You know what I'm saying? It looks like
what are we gonna say if it
looks like that was their resume.
Yeah,
right. It looks like that slander was their resume in order to become counter-programming. You know what I'm saying? Like if your thought experiment is to be taken to its fullest conclusion, right? It's interesting. Oh, okay.
So hold on. Lucas Augustus in the chat says Xbox continues to be a punch. It don't matter, right? Because guess what? Starfield is a haymaker, and we're talking about all. I know, and
listen, we're gonna get to Starfield today. Today is Starfield talk. So continue.
There's no shade against Baldur's Gate 3, but I see people running around with this 94 meta, and Starfield's not gonna do that. It's 4 reviews last night for Baldur's Gate 3. So we'll see. And let's see what the Steam numbers are day one on Starfield.
Well, don't like say what you will, right? But in a vacuum, both of Larian Studios, like, and this is cyclical, right? In the example of, let's take for you console folks that know it, let's take the example of, let's say, Insomniac, right? Everyone loved the Xbox version of Spider-Man before Spider-Man, right? Like it was their resume building effort to get to Spider-Man, right? Larian Studios has the same pedigree, has the same trajectory. Everyone who's played Divinity 1 and 2 love it. Like it is so RPG good, and they combine it with excellent graphics. Like they are hitting on all cylinders. So in a vacuum, take all the whatever you want out of it. Larian made a great game here. I have no doubt it's high 90s, and it will be worth the high 90s.
That's what I'm saying. They made a great game to back this up, but let's not pretend this is about the Series S.
As you can see on our thumbnail here, they're going to be counter-programming against what I will consider, and we're going to have that conversation a bit later, but what I would consider a game of a generation, a game of many generations, if Skyrim is any indication. So this is not a fight that I don't think they want. Like, to be fair, I bet, and no, there's no way for us to even like see this, if this is actually true or not, but I bet day one when it all releases, the people at Larian Studios will be playing Starfield, because that's the kind of gamers they are. They are like PC gamers. And Starfield is exciting to them as much as it is to everybody else. So this whole thing is very, very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how it breaks out.
Stanley Buffington super chat.
Okay, yeah. I'll read all the super chats, but you want me to? I
want to answer that
first.
Just because.
Let me see here. Where did it come out here? I don't see it. Hold on. Oh! It just popped up. Here we go. Stanley Buffington, thank you so much for being here. $5 super chat. He says BG3 sold 2.5 million in early access. It would have succeeded on PC regardless of Starfield. They prioritize PC and PS5. What's wrong with that? Yeah. What's wrong with that?
But this is what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with that, but
Absolutely
just say
nothing.
that.
Yeah.
You don't have to throw the Series S under the bus for that. It's a resource constraint issue, and it is a business decision to focus on the platforms that you have the highest potential of selling on, and there's a huge title that is going to suck all the oxygen out of the room on the Xbox platform, so you focus on the other ones. Don't pretend like, oh, the Series S is this and that. You didn't want to devote the resources to it, and that's fine. But say that.
I think the reason for the Series S slander is also a strategic move, because Larian are not fools. They see the console war stuff going on. They see it. So I think the Series S slander, if nothing else, it's a way for them to put themselves within the PS5 camp to be able to be used as counter programming, and they don't have to do much for it. Exactly.
They're flirting with this, and then they're letting the community do what it does.
Take the work for them. Exactly. They just threw a little bit of chum. They threw a little bit of chum at them, and then they step back and let it all happen, which is what's happened. Which, to your point, right, from a business perspective, it makes sense.
That's what we're doing. We're talking about it.
Absolutely.
We're talking about it. We're giving them the free marketing that this was designed for.
But let's be clear. So let's be clear, though. Let's be clear. If their game wasn't worth it, we would call it out. And by all accounts, by pedigree alone, you're going to be in good hands with this game. It's going to be great. It's just
100%. And I will say, before it got to all of this, and I heard it was going to be delayed, you know what I said?
What'd you say?
Good. Because 2023 is the year of new backlog entries that normally would be like, we have game of the year contenders that are just going to be banished to the
sitting
backlog
there.
realm.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right now, I am trying to finish Final Fantasy 16. I'm playing Double Dragon Gaiden.
You know what?
We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about it later. I know. I'm just saying.
Well, no. We'll talk about that right now, actually. Let me finish the super chats, and we'll get into Double Dragon Gaiden, because I have footage
I do want to
show.
This point about what kind of year 2023 is, right?
Go ahead.
It is just that I'm not done with Tears of the Kingdom or Diablo yet, and I had to put down Jedi Survivor and Resident Evil 4 remake when that came out, and before that I beat Dead Space remake, and then you guys were all like having love affairs with Hogwarts, whatever. That's
which is still the best-selling game of the year, even after all is said and done currently.
And then we have Atlas Fallen getting ready to come out. We have Lords of the Fallen getting ready to come out. We have Spider-Man 2. We have Starfield. We have Lies of P. We have Mario Wonder. We have Sonic Superstars. We have Alan Wake 2, and that is all before October. So if I don't have another 80-hour amazing game to play this year, I'm cool with that, because I wasn't going to get to it anyway. Right? So it's fine that it's delayed. It is just, this is this year is an embarrassment of riches, and I will not get to play. I bought Street Fighter 6 on day one and haven't even downloaded it.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I have not played Street Fighter 6 yet. Even after seeing the 90 meta scores and all of that, I have not done it yet, because that's first, because I have too much to play, and secondly, the next fighting game I'm playing is MK before Street Fighter. I'm sorry,
but don't
that's
forget
just me.
Tekken 8.
Yeah, don't forget Tekken 8. Yes.
Right. So this is how crazy it is this year. So if that is a game that the decision is made for me, I'm okay with that. I have no issues with. I'm happy Larian delayed it.
Mr. Joanna Dark, $5 super chat. Sega may have to pull a Larian and slander the Series S to get Sonic sales up and help Everborn and John Wolf keep their borrowed knees. Oh, wow. Jeebus Creebus. What a morning we're having.
Don't you dare.
Corey Tidwell with another $5 super chat. Thank you, Corey. He says, or he or she, I'm not sure, please let me know, says, Starfield will be 1 million plus concurrent Steam players. I will come back to the podcast and donate $100 if it isn't. Ooh, wow. Well, okay, we already know it will be, but we'll appreciate the donation if you do anyway.
now I'm betting against Starfield on
Now
Steam.
We got to bet against Starfield, right?
Everybody play it on Game Pass instead.
No, but I have no doubt. I mean, even right now in its form, in its what do you call it? Early access form. It's the most early access. I mean, wish list. It's the most wish listed game ever. Must tell you something, right? I mean, and this is the game from the people that made Skyrim, which obviously is still on the Steam charts to this very day, being played more than most every single day. How many years ago that game has released? But okay, so all right, the preamble is great. The slander is out there on them Twitter streets. I appreciate. I still gotta get that out of my head. The X streets. Oh God. We need to have a conversation about that at some point. But anyway, let us get into it proper. Mr. Everborn Saga, you started this week with me, and you put me on a path that led me to a lot of wasted man hours. Let's just say.
I don't think they were wasted. I think you were having fun and enjoying the ride.
The powers that be that afford me the ability to buy all the lucrative things that I'm able to buy, if they knew what I did this week, sir, they would not be happy with me, because I spent most of this week playing the game that we are going to be discussing in earnest today. And that game, ladies and gentlemen, is Double Dragon Gaiden. Now, you're going to see
I may or may not be playing during the show today. So
you may or may not be, and you may or may not be seeing some hodgepodge of footage. You're seeing footage on the screen here, right? I have some footage that I've been playing, and I threw some of it in there. I don't know which one we'll play. We'll talk about it. Mr. Everborn Saga, you start. How did this get on your radar and not on mine, and you had to convince me to play this? Because that's how this happened.
Okay,
by the way,
you guys all know I'm working on that Redlands game based on the comic we released last year. And it's a 2D beat 'em up, right? So a lot of the inspiration is taken from Shredder's Revenge and Streets of Rage 4. But my ears are always, to the 2D beat 'em up streets, trying to find, more inspiration for the game, what we can take here, what works well, what doesn't for what we're trying to do. And the algorithm knows that I look at this kind of stuff and interacts with it. So it just came across just through happenstance, through the algorithm gods, it came across my timeline that Arc System Works was releasing a Double Dragon game. Now, there's some history there that I don't know if you want to get into that now or later.
We'll talk about that a little bit, because you broadened my horizons exponentially with that video this morning. Because like you and I, we connected on early indie fare, such as like your Death's Door or whatever. There's always something special to a game. You can't put your finger on it, but this is not your standard fare. Something's different here. And then you answered it for me this morning by handing me that video. But continue talking about it. Yes. Well, I may put that what do you call it? I guess you could call it.
Put it in the description of the show, and then
I'll put it in the
link
show
to
notes
it at the end.
Yeah, because it's definitely worth a watch. This is amazing. Continue. Yeah.
So I found out about this game, and then my eyeball was on it. I wish listed it on Steam and all that or whatever. And then it comes out, and then I buy it 4 times, right? I buy 2 copies for the team that's working on my game, right? The art team, just so they can look at how the attacks work and things like that. Yep. I bought it once on Xbox, and then I had to buy it again on Steam because it doesn't have cross progression, and it's not in the Windows Store. It's in Steam. We really got to figure that whole thing out, the cross progression thing. But neither here nor there. Bought it 4 times. Happy to do so.
A quick side note from the community. Mr. Silent Cypher is saying he's still waiting for his VO audition. Mr. Everborn Saga.
When we get to that stage, you and Umbra and Fonz will be getting the call.
That's what's up.
Maybe Tay talks too.
Hey, keep it moving. Let's go. That's great.
And then we're gonna have Kay Asante as we're gonna call him Captain Keys in the game. So, but we're gonna need the Ghanaian accent.
But I shall help you with that. Don't worry. We will talk about this later. Okay.
There we go. So, the thing is, I get it, and when I'm looking at the few days before it comes out, I'm looking at like reviews and play tests and things like that, and I'm like, this moves really slow. And the way I watch these things as someone who's trying to program similar mechanics, so I'm really acutely attentive to all of the movements and how the hits work. So Absolutely. What you're seeing on screen, you may look at this and say, why is it moving so slow? Especially as compared to Streets of Rage 4 and Shredder's Revenge. Right?
And of course, I'm also showing off a lumbering character which moves even slower than the standard. So just so you guys know. But continue.
So when you think about it like that, I'm like, am I actually not gonna like a 2D beat 'em up for Double Dragon? And then I start playing, right? And this
when did you start playing it, by the way?
I turned it on for a minute on Monday or Tuesday, but didn't really play it. It's not until yesterday where I
So
was
you
supposed to be
started it in
working.
earnest yesterday.
Yes.
Okay.
And by the way,
Uh-huh.
I have like 8 hours in it now, and I just started
Okay.
yesterday because
So-
I couldn't put it down.
So you should know, and it's funny. It's really funny. We're gonna keep having this fun conversation. You should know. You got me interested in this, right? Assuming that you had played and I had FOMO'd out and I'm missing out. So I go and I buy it, and I'm like 30 some odd hours into this game now. And Mr. Everborn Saga's not even double digits into it yet.
No, but
as,
the point is,
hold on. But my point is, as Reggie Lee points out, as you go on, there's an RPG almost system that helps you get faster, and all those slow things you notice from the beginning, towards the end in the later stage, as you replay it over and over and over again, you get like experience points that make you get faster and stronger and all of that. So when you see a later version of yourself playing it, it's much faster than this. Just so you know. But that's why I asked, because most likely you haven't played through the game enough to start seeing it get faster.
Well, that's not what I mean though, right? Because
Okay.
I'm at the end of my first playthrough, and we'll talk about the roguelike elements.
Yep.
But I'm at the very end on the final boss right now, and it's just because I was playing it until late in the night yesterday. Why
they cheat. Let's be real. They cheat sometimes. Them bosses, they cheat. Like, wow.
But the point is, just like you, remember, I just picked it up yesterday in earnest, and I have 8 hours of playtime, right? So this is the kind of thing where you pick it up and you cannot put it down, right? So you started it earlier in the week, and I suspect something similar happened. You just kept playing and playing, couldn't put it down, and now you didn't start playing it until Tuesday.
No,
right?
I'm like 30 some odd hours into this game, sir. Like, it is addictive.
But I'm saying that 30 hours were all accumulated this week because it came out this week.
This week, right? Absolutely.
So,
absolutely, yes.
It is more complex than Streets of Rage and Shredder's Revenge combined, because those games are more about the action, how many people you can have on screen, things getting crazy. Streets of Rage is definitely, I think, more skill based than Shredder's Revenge, but this is even more skill based than Streets of Rage. Because each of these characters plays so different. It is not one of those things where this character is stronger and that character is faster. Their entire move sets are completely different.
There's an actual class system that matters here if you're playing a multiplayer, if you're playing in co-op. Like, you want different classes, like, to be in the same group, because it really, really does support each other.
Here goes Paris in here with his nonsense.
Shout out to Paris Lily for joining us. You know, but no, it is so true how unusual, like, the superfluous things you think, oh, well, this is a lumbering character, this one's a little faster. No, these guys and their movement really make an actual difference in this game. It's unusual how much time they spent on it.
The thing about the movement, even if it looks slow, and I can tell you're very far into it because you're moving a lot faster. Even when it looks slow, a lot of this is you can count the animation frames and know when you have to move, when you have to hit, when you have to do a super. And to do that when you have 7 enemies attacking you at the same time, it just works in a way where it's like it's super replayable. Is another thing we should say. You can play the game in any order, so there's 4 stages, but whatever order you do it in, the following level gets longer and more difficult. I was gonna say longer and harder, but then I knew the pause was coming.
About the way they choose the levels, obviously this harkens back to all of the games of old. You can definitely tell, like, you know, they took their inspiration there, but it also gave me kind of like Crackdown vibes. OG Crackdown, remember, where you could just go four boss heads, right? Because obviously Crackdown took its inspirations from the beat 'em ups, the beat 'em ups of old as well. And it really is kind of what is the Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail a little bit. You can really see it's really fun, and the influences, and how when you choose 1 or 2 of the first ones, you know 3 or 4 will end up looking completely different because you let them go further by beating up the first two. It's very interesting. I don't know if you've noticed that. How far into that have you been?
I mean, so I don't remember a lot of the first Crackdown. Like I played it.
I played the hell out of it.
I may have beaten it, but I played a lot of the first Crackdown.
Yeah. I play that multiple times a year still. I still play that every once in a while. Yeah.
But I didn't make the connection here. But so and anyway, but the point so you can do it in any order. The levels get longer and more difficult as you go. So you have to kind of, once you play all the bosses, you're gonna know well, this guy is more difficult than that guy. So let me take out the most difficult boss first. That way they'll be the easiest because they'll have the less life, the level will be shorter. So I did it so Big William is last. That's the guy with the gun. I probably should have done him sooner. But I think it doesn't matter who you fight in the end.
In any order. Yeah, I've beaten it multiple times. You always end up with the helicopter. Yes. In any order you do it, there'll be nuanced differences, but ultimately you'll end up where you ended up first. Yes. So
anyway, by the way, that effect where you see the boss's name fly past them with the red screen, I'm stealing that for the Redlands. I'm letting you know. The screen's red and you pass that by, you're gonna see that in the Redlands game. Anyway, but the point is, how do you run?
Oh, you haven't figured out how to run. Yeah,
I haven't run the whole game, and I'm at the end.
You gotta run, bro. Running the run attack, especially for
okay, but
Jimmy.
How do you run? What button? Do you press?
There's a, I think it's right trigger. Right trigger. You hold the right thumb, the trigger.
Right button bumper.
Right button at the top bumper. Yes. Yeah. And then you run in the direction. And if you combine that with a kick, like I'm using Billy right now. If you combine it with a kick with Jimmy, like the Dragon Punch, it is a crowd control, like, wow, clears the entire screen. You can get everybody going with that one. It's great.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, just every time you pass a certain part of a level, so in the first gang that you go after, there's only like 2 parts of that one. And then there's 3, and then there's like 4 parts like going forward. So but every time you get to a checkpoint, you get to pick an upgrade for you and your character. But the upgrades are like super interesting that change the playstyle. So you can say, all right, well, when I do, this is another thing. They're using a tag team system that sort of works like Marvel versus Capcom. So whoever you pick, you'll now have a partner with you that you can switch between. And if your life is getting low, you tag out because you can gain back a portion of your health while you're tagged out. And you can get upgrades to increase how much that goes up. You can get upgrades to increase your health, but you can do things like, say, when I tag someone out, everybody gets knocked down so I can make an entrance. Things like that, right?
Absolutely.
You get more health.
Great idea from the chat right now. We should stream this together. 4-player co-op, baby. Let's go. We should do this.
Does it have online co-op? I don't know if it has that.
It does.
It's not on the.
I thought it did.
Okay, so it doesn't have it on. It doesn't have it on console yet.
It doesn't have it on console. Okay, before I talk out of turn, let me quickly check on the PC.
I heard that's an update that was coming.
Yeah, let me check real quick on the PC and make sure it does or not, because I might be wrong. It might. Yeah, you might be right that it might still need the, because this is begging for it. I mean, this is an example
of the upgrades and the things that you can get. And now one other thing is, it's a roguelike, but not that's focused on dying. It's sort of focused on you winning and doing it again, right? So the idea is, if you want to see how the different levels play out, do it in a different order, because you're going to get sort of a different version every time based on what order you complete these things on. And then there's this token system that says because you can buy the tokens instead of doing a power up, or you can earn the tokens. But
I love the loading screen. Love the
it takes
people don't know, but love that loading screen. I'm sorry.
so
excuse us. Oh, is that
Let's
you or
see
me?
what that's about. I might need to change the battery on something.
Okay.
It's
okay.
the anyway.
Sure.
But so the point is,
Mhm.
you have the moves that you're upgrading. You have the different play styles.
Mhm.
If you want to continue in place, meaning you both your characters died, then you got to spend like
Spend some
4,500
tokens.
or whatever it
Yeah.
is, right? Well, no, you spend your money,
Spend
but
your
that's
money.
the
Yeah.
same money you use to buy tokens or upgrades, right? But then if both your characters die and you don't have enough money,
So
you
I'm
can
totally
use a
not
token.
real quick. I'm totally not bending my head down to play this game right now to confirm that no, it does not have online co-op just yet. You are
I
right.
told
Not
you.
even on the
I told you.
the Achilles heel of it all. We're waiting for that online co-op. Continue, sir. Apologies.
I suspect that's why I didn't go into Game Pass, because if you
Yeah.
had like 20, 30 million people looking at it, they're going to be like, hey, I want to play this with friends. And then everybody's going to say that that's a detriment to it. Remember what they did to Battletoads.
To Battletoads,
So
yes.
I suspect, but no one's saying that right now because no
Yeah.
one's thinking about that. So I suspect that when they do get that out, maybe you get a Game Pass announcement later.
Well, but
I
you
do
know what,
recommend you
though?
buy this game though, and I'm going to tell you why. I know it sounds like Arc System work,
Yeah.
but we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we'll talk about why you should.
And I want to make
invest
one more
in it.
point about the gameplay when you're done.
Sure,
and then
but real quick, what I want to say about this though, what I suspect the people that gave Shredder's Revenge credit and Battletoads and there's another one that came out. Streets of Rage 4. They may have missed this one. I feel like because and harking back to the theme of the show, I feel like because the phenomenon known as Starfield is looming so large that no one's really paying attention to proper games that are releasing, even if they're indies or whatever. And these guys may be getting a bit of short shrift. They're not getting the attention.
Well, I don't think they
deserve
marketed this one.
Yeah.
So here's the issue. Streets of Rage 4 and Shredder's Revenge were both shown at big shows.
Sure. And they had room to breathe.
Whether it was the Keelys or the Xbox show or a Nintendo showcase, this wasn't shown at any of those. It took a lot of people by surprise. I suspect that's more so what it is that they didn't really market it at a big showcase.
Because I gotta tell you, people, for anybody who hasn't played this is that level of fun. This is that level of respecting the source material. It's really interesting how from nowhere, out of nowhere, these indie these like 2D material, IP respecting of the source material is coming, and they're each reaching the same level of quality. And by the same, I mean expert level. We're talking your Shredder's Revenge, where everybody was like, oh my God, if you remember TMNT, this is it. Right? You're talking about Streets of Rage, different team, completely different team, but they still hit that same quality, nostalgic level. This is at that level, even more so in certain instances. Please continue.
So not to make this about
don't do it.
Sega, right?
Oh, I knew he was gonna do it.
No. So I think there's a huge opportunity right now with the skyrocketing costs of AAA development to go back and make games like this cheap.
Cost less, make more as far as impact.
Because you can make a game like this, and if you market it, I'm pretty sure Shredder's Revenge probably sold 1 million copies.
Yeah.
Streets of Rage 4 did very well to the point where now they want to make a movie out of it, right? So these games do not cost the tens or hundreds of millions of dollars that these AAA games cost. You could make these quickly, you could make these cheaply, and you could sell a lot of copies by this, and it is driven off the nostalgia because many of us came into games at this level and will appreciate these things. So I wonder if even big publishers should bring back. I'm going to tell you a story about Golden Axe that is going to blow your mind in a second. I wonder if the bigger publishers should consider, alongside of making their big AAA games, that they can make games like this, high quality, respect the source material in the traditional
Yeah.
sort of 2D fashion
Yep.
and make some money in between their big AAA releases
And
instead
when
of
you say
everybody chasing this service.
And when you
trend.
say AAA releases, I say give me this Double Dragon, continue down the path of this Double Dragon, then every once in a while give me a seafood kind of Double Dragon.
Exactly, you can do both, but I'm saying so when we come back to Sega, we've seen them do Sonic Mania, we've seen them do Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
They could mine their IP with a bunch of games like this to reinvigorate those franchises before doing the budget that it would take to. Now, someone said Golden Axe. I wanted to say something super important.
Yeah, so House Flan said Golden Axe. Go ahead, speak on Golden Axe.
So, believe it or not, the developers of this game actually had mock-ups of Golden Axe in this style.
Wow.
Right? So now I will take
and Mig Elite, Mig X Elite also mentions Sonic Mania as well. So it's actually kind of apt that he mentions Sonic Mania. Let's speak on that Sonic Mania connection on that this game now. Go ahead.
So fun fact, right? When we first heard about this, we were like, wow, Arc System Works, Double Dragon. That's amazing. They make fighting games. What are they doing making a game like this? Turns out that a few years back, Arc System Works acquired the license to Double Dragon. I don't know if anyone knew that. I was today years old when I learned that. But this game is actually made by an indie developer. There are two people, the artist and the programmer, that made this entire game, and the game was self-funded before Arc System Works allowed them to do it. Now, they got money later on to do QA testing and porting, and they got like interns from college to help with that, but this game's entirely not entirely self-funded, but mostly self-funded, and only made by effectively two people plus some volunteers. And they were making this game and pitching it to Arc System Works, and they were pitching it for over a year while still working on the game anyway. So this could have come out under a different IP, but they wanted it to be.
That's the thing. So see, it's good that you tease that. It actually has come out under different IP. They have iterated on this idea multiple times. If you look at who makes it before the Arc System Works banner covers it, you'll notice that team has other beat 'em up games in this style, but obviously not called Double Dragon. They were iterating on this. Well, he specifically, a team of two, were iterating on this style multiple times. So much so that the very last iteration that they did, Arc System Works themselves reached out to them and said, hey guys, this is actually kind of cool what you guys are doing here. They really appreciated it at that time. That version of the game obviously wasn't Double Dragon. So later down the line, when they were doing their umpteenth iteration of revising this game, they then went to Arc System and went, hey guys, remember us? We were making that really cool thing you liked. How about we call it Double Dragon? And that was a long conversation based on this the documentary here. And by the way, we will put this stuff in the show notes. We'll put it in. We'll put the link to the YouTube channel where all this information is when this thing posts. Super interesting thing to get into, and kind of, it's a 20-minute documentary. It will blow your mind because, long story short, this is the repeat of Sonic Mania, right? It is this is the Double Dragon fanfic in the best way. Somebody who loved it so much that he made it, and then convinced the IP owners that they should let him use that as the basis for the actual game. And it turned out fan-freaking-tastic. I don't know, like, Everborn, like, is there any piece of the puzzle that you would change in this game? Like, I know people first were complaining about the big head stuff and, oh, it doesn't look right, or the combat is a little sluggish or whatever. Now that you've had some time with it, is there anything, a critical eye-wise, that you would go, maybe we'll change this, I would do this different or do that different? Anything at all?
No, because when you get into it and you experience the whole package and you experience the upgrades, you don't notice the slowness. You notice that it is a lot of frame-based attack timing. So you have to kind of look at what frame you're on, what frame they're on, when to move, when to attack, when to do your super, how to utilize crowd control and switching your character. It is the most complex yet easy to pick up and play. Hang on, I really got to change that battery.
I understand.
But to pick up and play, and the balance of complexity, roguelike that is not annoying, that doesn't feel like you're wasting your time, is they've really special here. Okay, you guys are gonna have to hold on for a second. I gotta go deal with that.
No worries.
So you take over, tell them about the documentary. I'll be back.
Okay, all right. So while he's going off to make sure that his house is not burning, I will continue and let you guys know. Yeah, so we will watch. I was playing this. He got me onto this, and I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. And as I do, because I don't sit and play on console too long, because you got stuff going on. So I bought this on Steam, and I opted to buy this on Steam because if you buy it on Steam, that means you have it on your PC, and I also, of course, have it on the handheld. And games like this play so great on the handheld because they sip battery and they still look great. You don't have to make any concessions, and it plays for a very, very long time. So I was like, all right, great, I'll try it on here. Man, this game is far more complicated than it has any right to be. Like the combat depth is really, really there. It really is. And again, I was saying before, the idea that the classes really matter is so unusual in a 2D game of this kind. Like, if you go in with just a lumbering character, you'll eventually figure it out, and they've balanced it well, but you'll have a hard time of it, right? You just will, because you need to be able to do certain things that these characters can't do instinctively if they're lumbering, meaning like air focused combatants will have a great time with you because you have minimal ability to combat them in the air if you're one of those lumbering characters, right? And at the same token, if you're not a lumbering character, when the screen gets really full of bad guys and crowd control is necessary, you may have a hard time there too. So the balance was very, very well done. But the documentary that brought all this about, basically, there's a dude on the internet, and I forgive me, I should give him proper credit. I definitely will put his information in the show notes here. He has been a one-man band for a long time now, talking about how Double Dragon is amazing and how it should come back, right? This is a content creator who's been doing this for quite some time now, basically singing into the ether, as we all do in the YouTube spaces, right? But basically the long and short of this whole documentary is someone reached out to him saying, hey, all your Double Dragon lore and all your Double Dragon goodness and everything you've been doing, research you're doing, you should know that it's coming in handy because there's a person creating a game and he's using it for the purposes of the research and making sure that he's as authentic to it as possible. So as crazy as it sounds, a YouTube content creator who has been in love with the Double Dragon franchise for a very long time literally was communicated to by the developer of this game and told him, hey, I'm making this game, and because of all of the content that you've been putting out there on YouTube and all the aggregating and all the lore building and everything you've done, he basically used the guy's YouTube channel to do all the research for this game, right? So it's literally fanfic. It's literally the game that was put together by the people who love the original OG ideas. So much so that the new IP owner said, all right, you guys have passed that test. You've passed the rubric of, hey, should you guys be allowed to do this? And they let them do it. So it's basically a repeat of Sonic Mania. Now, let's hope that it doesn't repeat Sonic Mania in its pricing, because for those who know, Sonic Mania eventually ended up a bit of an issue because they ended up not paying the developer who ended up making it as well as he, I think, expected them to pay him or whatever. But as of right now, this is a really, really this is a great story, and the game that came out of it is absolutely excellent. Everborn Saga, I don't know if you're back yet. If you're not, that's fine. Let me read some of the super chats that came in here. Actually, there's one super chat that came in here, and hopefully he will join us as soon as we're done here. And let's see here. Okay. The brother, Mr. Pixelbit G, is in here. Thank you so much for being here. The OG, always on the show, always showing support. $2 super chat. He said, didn't UB do the same with AC Chronicles China? I wasn't sure about that. I did see that the AC franchise, they had a bunch of subsets, right? They had China, they had Russia, they had a few other things, a few other subset games that were side-scroller 2Ds. I wasn't sure that those were specifically like them giving the IP to them and having them sorted out versus maybe giving it to a smaller team and saying, hey guys, give us some content to be able to put into various different places. But I will say, like, the games themselves came out really awesome. I enjoyed AC Chronicles China like a lot. Like, I thought it was amazing. Obviously, at the time when those games came out, it wasn't as prevalent as it needed to be. The advent of those 2Ds were kind of a side hustle a little bit for them at that time. So because of that, it may not have gotten as much attention as maybe had they re-released it or had they released it fresh now. That would have been absolutely amazing, I think. So, all right. So Mr. Everborn Saga has not returned yet. Let us move forward. Before he will return, but while he's still in the middle of it, let me see if I can get some stuff to load on my screen here. Hold on here. Oh wow, watch this. Now of course Everborn's not here and my thing won't load. Amazing. While I sort that out, oh yeah, of course it will play that, but it won't play the next content. While I sort that out, let me tell you guys about the next game that I've been playing, and of course I'll put that on the screen as soon as I can. And that, believe it or not, is Dying Light 2. Now, Everborn, when you return, you can regale me whether or not you've played this or not. But Dying Light 2 is one of those games that I heard was coming out. People were talking really, really in glowing terms about it. I appreciated that it existed, but my problem was, frankly, I'm not a real Dying Light 2 dude. And I'm sorry, not Dying Light. I mean Dead Island. Dead Island. Forgive me. I always get those two confused. Am I the only one? I always get those two confused. Anyway, so Dead Island 2 came out, made a big splash, right? A bunch of people loved it. But me personally, I was like, okay, it's kind of mindless. At the time, I was a little bit over the zombie stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll wait. And at some point, I'll play it. So, and of course, we're going to talk about it when Everborn returns. But I am in a place in my gaming right now where until Starfield comes and leaves us and we're someplace else with it and we're post Starfield, because remember, that's the name of the show. BSAS. And what does BSAS mean? Before Starfield, after Starfield. Before Starfield, so close to where we are with the game coming out, I cannot see myself jumping in and playing a game for 100 hours, huge story driven. I'm just so waiting for Starfield at this point that I just can't bring myself to going that far anymore. It has to be these kind of smaller experiences, right? So it's hard to get me to play like Final Fantasy 16 right now, right? I hear Final Fantasy 16 is amazing and I'm looking forward to eventually playing it, but it needs to be after Starfield that I get into another really big heavy, right? And of course, I see Paris in here, not wasting his opportunity. He says, now that Everborn is gone, Sonic is mid. Now, come on now. I don't think that's a wasted opportunity. With Everborn gone, you should say Sonic is worse than mid. But okay, I hear you. Believe it or not, I think my kids are like super excited for Sonic, My kids are super excited for Sonic, and they know that we Everborn and I and all this have a bet, because every once in a while we'll use them as a cola taste test. We'll have them come in and go, watch this trailer, watch that trailer. Which ones do you guys like? It happens all the time. Needless to say. So getting back to Dead Island 2. So with Dead Island 2, I started playing this game just a little bit. I need something to pass the time. I need something to play while waiting for Starfield to come about and all of that. So I started playing Dead Island 2. Started getting to the story. I chose the Lenny Kravitz character, as Mr. Boomstick so affectionately calls him. So yeah, I put the cart before the horse. But before I even got there, I was talking to Boom in the morning, like I think this was 3 days ago or something like that. And he was like, look, if you're enjoying Double Dragons and you're at some point, because Double Dragons is fun. Oh, he's back. If you're enjoying Double Dragons and you're as you are, and I was enjoying Double Dragons at the time, if you need a change of scenery, pick up Dead Island, right? And long story short, Dead Island was having a sale. There was a sale of Dead Island on the Epic Game Store. I think all told, I paid $30 for the game. Man, I think I made a mistake. And I don't know, Everborn, now that you're back, I don't know if you've tried Dead Island, but I think I may have made a mistake letting it sit in my backlog for as long as I have. That game, bro, man, when you mark my words, when you eventually play that game, you will be on this show saying, holy crap, why did I wait so long to play this game?
Yeah, but here's the thing. The way things are going, I may not play that till 2025.
It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
And by the way, Paris, you thought you was slick. As soon as you started saying Sonic, I came right back.
You said Sonic and he showed back up.
By the way, I just checked every fire alarm in the house. They're all green on battery. Nobody's cooking anything. There's no CO alarms going off. I have 2 of the smart ones from Nest, so those are fine. But the rest of the house is like the standard like $25 ones. I like after today, I think I'm just
saying it's driving you crazy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to change to the Nest ones, but those are like $115 each
a piece. Yes,
and
I know.
We have like 20 of them in the house.
I know. I have a similar conundrum myself. I have a bunch of old ones and a few new ones, and I'm like, it's cheap until you combine how many of them there are, and then before long you're like, damn.
But anyway, so I am not going to play Dead Island. Not that I don't want to play it. It looks amazing. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I just told you.
4090 liquid cooled, sir. When I say that flesh system is another level, it's like you're peeling.
You're doing that Chun-Li mod from the Street Fighter Evil thing.
Let's not go there, bro. That was crazy hilarious, by the way. I saw that. I'm like, how did somebody let him get away with doing that? Like, what's wrong with you? He was just like, uh-oh, do I undo the mod? All right, let's just roll with it. Maybe nobody will notice. Anyway. But go ahead, go ahead.
This year is so again, all the games that I'm not playing right now, like Jedi Survivor, Resident Evil 4, Hogwarts Legacy, Tears of the Kingdom, Diablo 4, just so that I can focus on this game and Final Fantasy 16 before Starfield comes out, and all the other stuff we just named. There is no time to. I'm not even going to play half of those games, like the Alan Wakes, the Spider-Mans, the other stuff that are coming out.
Yeah.
So, the idea that I'm going to add another game to the roster is fanciful. So. I would say 2024, but what makes you think 2024 is not going to be like 2023? Listen, I want to put this out there to you, right? We know that next year, I'm just talking about Xbox only because Sony has not given us a roadmap. I would be talking about their stuff too, but we just don't know, right? Unless it's actually only going to be service games and Wolverine in 2026. But I don't suspect that the case. They're just being quiet, I hope. Because it would be crazy if they're not just being quiet. And
I think you're right. They are just being quiet. Yes.
They better just.
I suspect they're being quiet. Yeah,
but we suspected they were going to have a good E3 show, and how did that go? Anyway, the point is, I'm sorry. That was a joke.
Look. They have built-in pedigree. We must let them expend some of that political capital. We'll see. If they have another sad show again, then we have a cause for concern. For now, I'm just looking at him with a side eye. But
look at all the fake concern we get for Xbox, because there's no demo of Starfield, even though Starfield's coming out 4 days later. Right? I'm concerned, Kay.
Okay. We won't go there because I think that was a non-story. But my reasoning for that, and I think shout out to TSWS Gaming. I was on their show. I was bull sitting with them yesterday. They brought that up, and I was like, so the game is coming out in like less than a week after that time, right? Or a very short term after that time. So presumably there is no demo. You'd have to have some schmuck stand there and, okay, that's 10 minutes. Give me the controller back. That's what you want? To be able to say, okay, there's a demo. There is no demo because they spent all their time actually building the game. You want some schmuck to come to be the controller Nazi and take it away from you every 10 minutes to give it to somebody else just to be able to fulfill that need. What's the point?
But Kay, we should also be concerned because they're not doing marketing, even though it's the most wish-listed game and it's been more searched on Google than Spider-Man 2.
Let us move forward, shall we?
No, okay. Let me be serious.
Yes, that's why I didn't even make that a topic of conversation, because that's
I know.
ridiculous.
I saw him talking about it
That's
in
ridiculous.
the chat, and
Yeah,
it was actually stupid. But like, just think about this, right? Next year we're gonna get Hellblade, Avowed, Towerborn. If you're into Aria History Untold, because that's not really my kind of game, and whatever, that's just XGS. This is assuming Bethesda has literally nothing else going on, right? 2025, you're talking about Fable, you're talking about Perfect Dark. We didn't even get to Contraband, right? 2026, and by the way, where does Gear 6 sit in all of this? 2025.
So hold on.
Right.
While we are having a conversation about Xbox's offerings and what we're how stacked we're coming. So
and how do we even get back to the backlog games?
Because we're talking about that, let us move forward and actually switch to our news proper and bring up very related topic. This first thing that's on here, which of course won't show up on the screen, because as with all things, whenever I set it up, it works great until we are live, and then it stops working, because that's just the way it is around here. You know what I'm saying? But no, the news topic.
While you figure that out,
yes. Well, the news topic is Killer Instinct, sir. That became really big in this morning.
Oh yeah,
Killer Instinct. You had a lot of tinfoil hat theories this morning, sir. And yesterday night.
A picture in the chat. Is there a way to show that picture?
Which picture was this?
Okay, well, let me thread the needle. Right.
Put the picture into a Twitter DM, and I'll see if I can bring it.
It's in the PTG DM.
Oh, it's in the PTG DM. Okay. Well, you talk. I'll see if I can bring it up. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Evo was yesterday, and I think Maximilian, or whoever it is, the guy that runs Killer Instinct at Xbox, which is weird. Like, I didn't know there was a guy that ran Killer Instinct at Xbox, because it hadn't been a thing for so long, but apparently it's a thing, and there's a guy at Xbox that runs that franchise. So, and I have to ask, well, what was he doing all these years?
Yeah. What's he doing? Was he taking about a bunch of late lunches for the last 3 to 4 years?
Right. And this is not to say anything to him. I'm just saying, if you have a guy that's running a franchise, doesn't that mean a franchise is active? Right. So we saw and we speculated tinfoil hat a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, that the Killer Instinct Twitter account tweeted for the first time in a while. Right.
They found the password. They find it. Oh, we found it. Oh, okay.
They found it on the hard drive, like right next to the Transformer stuff for ABK. But so, okay, Maximilian's the biggest fighting game streamer, but who's the guy that runs Killer Instinct for Xbox? There's a guy that runs that. Maybe Maximilian's not the right name. So anyway, he comes out on stage and he wants to thank everybody because it's the 10-year anniversary of Killer Instinct, and he talks about how they started with 8 characters and now they have 29 characters. Ken Lobb, thank you, Paris. I'm mixing Maximilian with okay, Ken Lobb. You see what you can do, Paris, when you're not slandering Sonic. You can give good industry information.
Oh,
take that as a lesson.
Stop it. What is this man doing right now? Okay, continue, sir. Stop slandering the chat. Continue.
Okay. Well, Pixelbit G says Ken Lobb. Ken is an advisor. It's James Goddard. Is the head of Killer Instinct. See, we're learning things. Now,
anyway, this is what we do on the chat here. We come here and then we allow you to educate us. Continue.
Right, because the chat is informing us.
Absolutely. Yes.
So smartest chat in the podcast industry. Anyway, am I still whatever?
Oh yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So anyway, James Goddard comes out on stage, talks about Killer Instinct, talks about the journey, talks about the fans, says it's amazing to be at Evo. He talks about a huge update that's coming out for Killer Instinct. And then he says, and for the next 10 years of Killer Instinct. Now, when Phil talked about, a lot of people asking for Killer Instinct, and Phil said, we just need somebody to make it. You following me so far?
So far,
so we have Killer Instinct showing up at Evo. We have this guy coming out on stage talking about the next 10 years. And then we get the tweet, right? Can you bring that tweet up? Do you have it?
Well,
you have it handy?
I have the tweet handy, but I don't want to put all the stuff out on Front Street. So you keep talking. I'm devising a way of putting it out there without putting it on Front Street.
Forget about the screenshot for a second. Just click on the tweet from Killer Instinct.
The Killer Instinct tweet. Yes, that's right here.
Get
that's right
that tweet.
That is right here.
Where they say our friends at Iron Galaxy are back.
Yep.
And together we're bringing you Killer Instinct's free 10th anniversary update later this year, including a balance update, improved matchmaking, and 4K. They caught them in 4K to support the Series S and X. More info coming soon. So wait a minute. Phil says we're not working on Killer Instinct because we don't have a developer to work on it. Killer Instinct account.
And this is how I can put this.
Let me introduce this before you bring it up. Let me introduce this before you bring it up.
Go ahead.
So the Killer Instinct account tweets for the first time in years a couple of months ago, and we say, hey, what's going on? Killer Instinct shows up at Evo. Okay. 10-year anniversary. Okay. We find out there's actually a head of Killer Instinct at Xbox.
You see how the murder board is coming together? He's threading that needle. Go ahead.
Next 10 years of Killer Instinct. Then we get this tweet about Iron Galaxy. And who likes this tweet? Who puts up a smiley face and a wink?
And by the way, I can only show this half of it because the bottom, just the way the screen works. This is a picture of a now deleted tweet that the receipts that have been pulled. Go ahead.
That's a smiley face wink emoji if you were to translate that. So it's a wink, a smiley face. Who is Dhruv Gupta?
And by the way, because I can't show the bottom of the screen, it says this post has been deleted. Like it was deleted by him at this point. Now Gupta is M&A at Microsoft. If you don't know what M&A, that's the problem. I don't want to put the Twitter on the screen because it'll put everything on Front Street. I ain't trying to do that. I'm not trying to do that. But okay. Let's see if I can find him.
I'm just saying, if you go look for his profile on Twitter right now, you can click on it. I'm trying to do what his title is.
I'm trying to do it.
So Gupta, Dhruv, we should say. Gupta is his last name. Dhruv works at M&A at Xbox, mergers and acquisitions at Xbox. And he winked, and now he's deleted the tweet saying Iron Galaxy is back. Now, I don't know if you know this, Iron Galaxy has about 250 employees-ish. They are all based out of the United States. And if we're judging by the price that the Western studios at Square Enix went for, $300 million for IDOS, Crystal Dynamics. Look at that. Look what it says there. M&A at Xbox.
Oh boy, that tinfoil hat, the tinfoil kufi, man. Someone's got to make it and send it to us so we can put it on him. Oh, amazing. Continue. Yes.
Now, here's the thing.
And by the way, shout out to the 180 people watching live. Thank you so much for being here. Hit the like button. We're at 72 likes. Hit the like button.
Come on,
please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't done so.
Even I hit like on it. You guys can do it.
182 people in here currently. We appreciate you for being here. Continue the Saturday morning tinfoil koofiness.
So let me do this ultra combo. Shout out to John Wolf. Ultra combo tinfoil hat theory. So presumably, because they have no notable IP, I want you to understand, for $300 million, Embracer Group got Crystal Dynamics, IDOS Montreal, and Square, whatever that other studio that they ended up shutting down. But that came with all the IPs. How much do you think Iron Galaxy went for?
Yeah.
With no notable IPs. And remember, if you're below 111 million, you don't even have to notify the FTC. We're back together again. Now, if this is below the threshold to notify the FTC and they have no offices in the UK,
yep,
and the M&A guy is winking about it, and Phil said that we're not working on KI because we don't have a studio, and now we say they're back together and the band is back together again.
Yep.
That, I don't know about you guys. That tells me Iron Galaxy may have come home, and you may think, hey, well, they have to announce it. Did they announce when they bought Compulsion? Did they announce when they bought Ninja Theory? Did they announce when they bought Obsidian? They waited.
So guys,
bought them over the course of a year and announced it when it was right.
Ladies and gentlemen, sidebar, okay? Sidebar. I say when this stuff is happening, right? And this is not to Everborn, this is to you, the consumer, you, the chat, right? I'm thinking, you know that murder board scene where he's just pointing? I'm thinking an animated version, but with Everborn's head and maybe an aluminum foil kufi on top, like sidebar. What y'all think? Like, put that in the chat. Put it in the show when it posts up. I want to have like an animated thing of him, of this happening with his head bouncing around. When I'm sorry, Everborn, I needed to talk to the consumer. Forgive me, but it's just spurring so many ideas in me right now as you talk, because I look. Let me be clear. You are 100% right. I see what you're putting together here. But are you suggesting? Are you seeming to suggest that because we got a wink from the head of M&A, right? And we have them coming back, that now they are secretly purchased and they will be used and announced when it's advantageous.
Has it not happened before?
It has exactly happened before. It 100% happened before. So that you're saying that the history is repeating right now. The mistake here was that the M&A guy winked and then took it back real quick because he didn't want that to be a thing.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not making up that the M&A guy.
No, true. The tweet is out there. It's there in print. The receipts are there, 100%. I'm just thinking this is wild studio. If that's the case. That is wild.
A small enough studio that you don't have this does not deal with any competition concerns. It's a small. This is effectively Microsoft hiring some people. Right. This is not a thing that warrants regulatory scrutiny. So again,
yeah. And by the way, for those, and we have fun on a Saturday morning, right? But those who think that it's a thing that, oh yeah, why would they even be considering it? If you look at their who's who of games they've worked on, it makes a lot of sense. It really does. Look at the games they've worked on. Now, when you're looking at the games they've worked on, put on your Microsoft and your Activision hat, and you'll notice that they have worked support capacity on a lot of Activision, Microsoft, Bethesda games, right? Your Fallout 76, your Diablo 3s, your Overwatches. They have worked on a lot of those games. So if you bring them in the fold, right, while you have all of these new acquisitions going on, you're shoring up that your games not only have new IPs with the new ones that you get from your IPs, but also from the support, like Everborn is pointing out. You're hiring people who already have experience with the product. So it's you start right from jump without having to teach anybody anything, right? This is how you get the next version of Killer Instinct quickly.
Absolutely. Now my next thing to say to you, because now we've talked about my theories or whatever, we're about the games. I want to have some fun. Now we look at Killer Instinct and all the characters they began to bring in.
Yes, sir.
And then we've seen Mortal Kombat sort of take that to the next level and introduce characters from movies and IPs and things like that. And we've heard all the Crash talk, right? Sorry, not the Crash, the Smash Bros talk.
Oh yeah. Combining characters. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what I want to know is what characters you would like to see them. This is a two-part question. Who do you want to, what Xbox owned IP characters do you want to see them bring into Killer Instinct, and who would you like to see them face off against? I will start with Doom Guy versus Lilith. ABK, assuming ABK goes through.
Assuming ABK has gone through. Sure. Well, and Lilith, I think Lilith is you can do it and nobody will complain, but Lilith is a bit of a it's a bit of a wash because
that here we'll read it out because he had Pixel has some great matchups.
Okay, awesome. Lilith specifically, I'm like, because they're everywhere. Lilith is also currently in Midnight Suns, right? It's not an IP copyrighted character. Anyone can use it, right? But to your point, as the I see Killer Instinct coming back. I'm looking at the screen right now, and by the way, that's Maya on the screen. My daughter's named Maya, so she loves that character. But yes, I can see that, and imagine them adding different characters to it. Clearly, low-hanging fruit. We're talking Gears characters. Bring some Gears characters.
We definitely need to see Marcus Phoenix versus.
We need to see Marcus. We need to see Marcus Phoenix. We need to see like General Ram. Both on the good and bad side. And because this is Killer Instinct, you can really hone in on their skill set. Really hone in on the combat tactics. You can make Gears come out. I imagine you're doing combos, and out of nowhere, Marcus Felix grabbing the Lancer and just cuts up, and that's part of the combo. Like, that'd be awesome.
Wait a minute, let's answer that question. I
think Ram was already in KI. Yeah, that's true. Ram was already in KI. That's why my brain was going. Ram was already in KI. Please go ahead.
I think it's no contest, but Marcus Phoenix versus Master Chief.
Marcus Phoenix versus Master Chief. That's a very weird one. I would love to see Master Chief's skill set in this thing.
Okay. All right. I got another one for you.
Okay.
Crash versus Conquer.
Wow. You're really going like that hard. Like, okay, so you'd have Crash. Yeah, I guess so. If we're talking because see, when I say this, I'm thinking more a Killer Instinct kind of face-off. Like, look at Killer Instinct, right? But Smash versus Conquer, Crash versus Conquer, that is really a Smash mashup, right? Like that, you'd see these little characters bouncing all over the screen, No, I can see it. You're absolutely right. I can see it.
Come on, give me some chat. Let's go.
Doom Guy versus, I don't know. Give me a character. Doom Guy versus Blazkowicz. There you go.
Okay, someone said Cameo versus Chai.
There you go. That'll work too. Yes. But no, but I guess to broaden this conversation out a bit, do you think that we are now at a point where, and I hope we are, but can we assume that within Microsoft now there is a team kind of dedicated to this kind of conversation?
Well, I'm going to say
threading the needle
yes.
between IPs.
I'm going to tell you why I say yes.
Please give me hope, because I need the hope that this exists.
If nothing that we haven't learned from the treasure trove of information that is, and by the way, Tay Talks, you're cheating in the chat. It needs to be Xbox owned IP. I see Samus versus Chief. Microsoft does not own.
Hey! So anyway. You cheated too. You said Lilith. Microsoft ain't own Lilith. But keep it moving.
Yeah, we know that's.
Well, no. Activision does not own Lilith. But all right, continue.
Okay, Blizzard. But so anyway. The what we've learned is that all of these things that we've talked about in terms of acquisitions like Sega or Square for Final Fantasy, or making sure they're not being left behind on things, or making sure you have games like Persona, or getting Final Fantasy 7, or Final Fantasy 14, I'm sure they're working on 7. They're listening because you've seen that in the background they were taking actions to try to deal with this. So there are so many examples of talking points that happen in the community that you see directly addressed by Xbox, even if it's sometime later. If we were talking about power, they tell you we're not going to be passed on power or price again. If we're talking about Sega acquisitions, if we're talking about not missing Final Fantasy, all of these things, if we're talking about handheld.
I don't mean to interrupt you, sir, but we need to pause for a bit of hilarity because I think the chat has won right now. Eastside Vandal, Reforged Gaming versus Dreamcast guy. That's the matchup he wants to see.
Now he said refudge gaming. I'm not sure if that was a Freudian slip or he it was actually he actually spelled it correctly because of the that's
well
perfect
done.
on many
Well
levels.
done. That was really good.
So the thing is, I can tell you, right?
Mhm.
Even them knowing to have an answer ready for Killer Instinct, Iron Galaxy coming back and bringing it back tells me they're listening to the community.
Oh yeah,
they're very acutely aware. So I can promise you they're having these conversations.
Yes. You know, here's a weird, and we'll move on to a different topic, but here's a weird offshoot to this conversation, to the exact point you made. By the very nature of this announcement, I know that Banjo-Kazooie's in the works, because as loudly as people have been talking about Killer Instinct, they've been talking about Banjo-Kazooie. I don't have the reverence for Banjo that others have, but I've heard the loud and clear voice of the community that wants that bird and bear back. Shout out to you, Mr. Boomstick. And as long as people have been talking about Killer Instinct, what happened to you guys? People have been talking about a remaster,
Did you say
remakes.
bird and bear back?
Bird and bear back. They want the bird and bear back. Big pause.
But what are we doing? This is the kids show.
Only in your mind is that a problem. But you see the point, right? To your point, they're definitely listening to the consumer. Like, they're definitely listening to the Xbox faithful here. And because of that, I'm almost sure that very soon we hear similar information with that franchise as well, which is awesome, right? People have been yelling from the rooftops for so long about these same franchises, and it definitely looks like they're listening and they're taking action in some respect to address some of those needs that the consumers have been yelling about. But all right, let us move on, because
before we move on,
yes,
I wanna fart in the elevator and get off of it and leave you guys with this thought.
Okay.
I've said this a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna bring it up again because now it could actually be a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of this Mount Rushmore of fighting games, you've got Street Fighter, you've got Mortal Kombat.
Oh, here he goes again.
You've got Tekken. All those games are multi-plat. Is there a world where, as a service game, and for Killer Instinct to take its rightful place on the Mount Rushmore of fighters, should Killer Instinct go multiplat? It's not about needing PlayStation. It's just about being everywhere as a fighting game, which is a very niche genre. So you're going to want everybody to have it.
So because our audience is the audience, because we are because we are the AAA, we are the hardcore. That's what I'm doing right now.
Run a poll.
That's what I'm going right now. Because we are the hardcore and we decide how things go. I'm running a poll right now. And the poll will run until the end of this show, and we will make that determination once and for all, ladies and gentlemen. The poll is up, and the question is, should KI go multi-plat? Yes, no, and the final answer, shut up, Everborn.
If Shut Up Everborn doesn't win, you have all failed me, chat. I'm just telling you now.
All right, let's move forward.
I picked Shut Up Everborn.
You picked Shut Up Everborn. So I want to move. I want to move forward.
The reason I asked that question is, KI is in its own right up there with Mortal Kombat. It came out close to that time. It is up there with Street Fighter. It brought its own thing with combos to the genre. All I am saying is, it has never been mentioned with Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and Tekken, because it's the only one of those games that is not traditionally multi-plat. It used to be exclusive to Nintendo, then it became exclusive to Xbox.
Lucius Augustus puts in a hedge here real quick that really, like, that's what we need to make sure we're clear on. When we say multi-plat, we mean Switch as well. We're not necessarily talking about PlayStation Or are we talking about PlayStation? What do you mean by
I'm
multi-platform?
talking about everywhere because
Everywhere.
it's a games as a service game is how they want to push it.
And he's saying
Now,
Switch
the
2.
counter argument
Mm-hmm.
is some people, I'm not those people, but some
Mm-hmm.
people would put Smash up there on the Mount Rushmore.
Mm-hmm. I think that
And
is a travesty of epic proportions by putting
right,
Smash
and
anywhere
but
near a fighting game. But I'm sorry.
if Smash can go up there and it is exclusive,
Uh-huh.
then KI should be able to go up there being exclusive. But again, I just think that, and I'm not this is not a broad prescription, and I don't give a crap about PlayStation. Not about saying you need them. I'm just saying for a fighter and to be considered up there with the GOATs, perhaps Killer Instinct is the one exception you make. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, let's table this conversation now. We'll get back to it once the chat has really weighed in and told you to shut up or said no. And so far, that's exactly what's happening. Thank you, chat. Continue to tell him to shut up. Continue to tell him no. That's what I want to hear. And we'll move forward. But before we do, one of the great supporters is back with us. Thank you so much for being here. Enigmatic Dreams with a $2 super chat.
By the way,
He
Xbox has a million IPs right now. They're not gonna.
True.
This is
but
not
remember,
a few years ago.
This is a sacred cow. People love Killer Instinct. Love Killer Instinct. They don't want that to be thrown to the streets. Enigmatic Dreams, $2 super chat. He says Capcom over Sega. Sorry, Everborn. Resident Evil
Me and
FTW.
Enigmatic Dreams always vibe, and then here he goes with this tomfoolery.
See, and of course, not to let you off the hook, our lore master trying to keep everything righteous. He says Sony has 250 exclusives. So in other words,
but this
shut
is
up,
not
Everborn.
about. This is not about that. This is about KI taking its rightful place next to Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. That's my concern here. And to do that, take away the console war stuff from. I'm not saying you're console warring. I'm saying take all that away from it. It has everybody into it, and the IP can be even stronger. Just this once, I think it makes sense.
Still,
specifically because it's a fight.
It looks like our chat has it, and the consensus is shut up, Everborn. Anyway,
look how many exclusive Xboxes has.
Oh,
going
he
forward.
won't let it go.
IPs they have going forward. They'll be fine. This is not a few years ago where they needed all the IPs they can get. They're about to get ABK, damn it. Like, KI could just be the one that you allow.
Pixelbit G says PC, Switch, and Xbox has enough people. Shut up, Everborn. Anyway, we're gonna keep going over and over.
I made my case.
And still, by and large, the consumer base says, shut up. Anyway, moving on. While we're still going to continue
I think
in this,
should be everywhere, because I want what's best for the franchise.
We're going to continue in the same waters. We're going to continue in the same Xbox
Easy to
waters.
Go in the building.
What up, Teasy to Go? What's going on, brother? Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Pixelbit G says, request denied, sir. Request denied.
We got a lot of Matt Booties in the chat.
Put the peaches in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. We want the peaches emojis because it's been called. Put them in the chat. Let's go. But all right, let us move on to the next story. And this story, I think, is very apt. And I bring this up because you always bring this up as well. We were talking Square Enix last week, and Square Enix is here this week. This time, Square Enix has come out with a game. Final Fantasy 16, by and large, is, making hay all over the place. People talking about whether is it great to play, is it better to watch, whatever, all this stuff. People love the story, but while there's a lot of great conversation about it, Square Enix's operating income is now down by 78% despite the release of this game. Now, and I see all the peaches in the chat. Salute to you people. Oh, this is great. This is great. You know you've made it when you say put the peaches in the chat and the peaches start flowing. This is beautiful. So I guess Everborn Saga, to you, my question is, are you surprised here, or is this all priming for the pump for the inevitable? You know what? I'm sure you heard about this story. What was your first take when you heard this?
So what I find absolutely hilarious about this is, okay, operating income down by 78%. Operating income is basically your revenue, your total revenue minus cost of doing business. This is production cost. This is printing, all that stuff. And net revenue is all of that is your operating income minus your taxes and whatever else, right? So that's the difference between operating income and net income. But they still made a profit. It is just that the profit is down 80%.
Yep.
And that's because Final Fantasy 16 had ridiculous production, but a ridiculous production budget.
Wasn't it something like and chat? These are the instances where we rely on you to keep our numbers straight. I could have sworn something to the effect of, and please, like, I'm just throwing numbers out here. Please, I expect you to correct me. I thought the last Final Fantasy was something like almost $70-80 million budget or something like that, and this one is also that way, and because of that, it's like because of the size of no. Am I missing a zero? I might be missing a.
You're not missing a zero, because then it would be like
it'd be ridiculous. Yeah,
100 million. No.
Yeah.
So they spent total 700 million on video game production, but that's for all their games.
For all their games. Yeah. Okay. But yeah. So anyway, supposedly they blew the wad. Pause. So on this game. So as the returns are coming in, it seems like they're not coming in fast enough to offset the loss. What do you think?
Yeah, so there's a few things there. Remember, they did have a 5% gain in overall revenue.
Okay.
Right. But a lot of other things are down. So but you would think their profits would be up on a game like this, unless and here are things that we know for a fact. This Final Fantasy sold 2 million less in the same period than the previous Final Fantasy, right? That is just a fact. I don't care whether you like that fact or not. True. Now what they are going to tell you is, well, look at the attach rate in 2015 or 2016, whenever the Final Fantasy 15 came out, and this is doing better comparatively. You can say that all you want, but you still sold 2 million less in the same time period, right? So it doesn't matter to Square what the attach rate of the game is to the PlayStation. It matters what their overall sales and ultimately net revenue is. So the other thing they'll tell you is, they had higher number of a very high number of units sold, but those same guys are the one to quickly point out that Xbox revenue is not profit. But they forget that equation as soon as we're talking about Square Enix deciding to do a game exclusive on the PlayStation. Now, I am saying this as a person who enjoys this game more than a lot of people.
Do, you've given it a lot more credit than others have. Yeah,
I keep singing the game's praises, but I cannot help but think, if they had released this on multiple platforms, Final Fantasy is a very popular IP with Western audiences. Yes, this is not like a pixel remaster or something like that, where you may be able to say, well, Xbox doesn't have a lot of interest in this kind of thing. It's a Final Fantasy game, and it's an action game. It is made for the West. It is basically a Western story. It's like a European RPG, right? it would have done well. And at the very least, we have evidence for when they did this multiplat last time. So again, how are those exclusivity things working out for Square? And yet they keep doing it. And what is cosmically hilarious about this and ironic? It is Final Fantasy 16's exclusivity that was used against the FTC and Sony in the ABK case to say, as a prime example of the exclusives that Sony has that allowed the judge to look at this ABK purchase as fair competition. So not only has it led to a near 80% drop in profits, right? I'm not saying they lost money, but I mean, a penny lost is a penny.
There's a penny lost. That's
right. So you could have gained it, now you didn't.
And now
so
you didn't.
Again,
it is what it is.
I highly recommend everyone play this game. Right, anybody that's interested, it has the Everborn seal of approval.
I hear the story is amazing.
Yeah. One of the best in the entire franchise. But again, it is what Microsoft argued and the judge believed. So not only did it help Microsoft get ABK, it hasn't helped Square financially. So with numbers down like this, I have to ask, and you see Phil Spencer on stage, and you hear Phil doing interviews while he's at Tokyo Game Show last year, saying that they can't afford to stop acquiring things after ABK, and if the talks that they're having with developers are leading to acquisition,
bring on the tinfoil hat Kofi one more again. Let's go.
Know that it is when publishers and studios are on their knees that Microsoft likes to swoop in.
Papa likes them on their knees, man. Oh no.
Is there any world where Square, because listen, every quarter Square has been having some issues like that.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And we kept calling it Hollywood accounting. Remember? You called it Hollywood accounting for a long time, but it's happening over and over and over again.
Right, and they got some money by recognizing the sale of the Western studios, but now that that's out the way, they can't blame that on Crystal D and IDOS, right? They got to own this one on the chin.
And you know what? Go ahead, finish your statement.
People, and then they're like, "Oh, Square said they're happy with the sales." What else are they gonna say? That their marquee franchise is in decline? They're not gonna say that. So again, you couldn't get Final Fantasy 14 on Xbox for a decade. All of a sudden, Phil's out on stage. You're releasing this kind of numbers. You release the numbers from last quarter. Next quarter, maybe they'll have Final Fantasy Retrograde or Rebirth out. Maybe they won't. What are those numbers going to look like? And their mobile sales are
it's
down.
Integrade, not retrograde. But okay,
yeah, whatever. Integrade was the update to remake.
I like you calling it retrograde because you know what that means. But let's continue.
Whatever, man. The point is,
that's good.
The point is, if they continue to have quarters like this, right? Because they're down 78%, right? What is it going to be next quarter when there's no new release and everyone that has played this game wants to play it?
Yeah, that is an interesting place they may find themselves.
And the scary thing is their mobile revenue is down. Right?
Yep.
And they're projecting that their digital sales, which is like the stuff like the AAA games, that's going to overtake mobile again. So that's kind of trending in the wrong direction. The right direction for us, though. But my point is, I love Final Fantasy 16. I don't think it would be a good match, but this is not about what I want, because I want Sega. I'm asking, is there a world where if you have a few more quarters like this, and Phil's cozying up, and ABK is done, and they need to expand into Japan, and we know that they already wanted to buy them because they had the approved deal, but that fell apart somehow. Is there a world where somebody comes calling Phil like Bobby called Phil?
Enigmatic Dreams. Another $2 super chat. Thank you so much for being here. He says, keep talking, Everborn. Ignore them haters. Clearly, he is doing that, and he will continue.
He was just hating on Sega for Capcom a few minutes ago, but we're gonna ignore that.
Gerald Mack, the great Gerald Mack, $2 super chat. He says, is this the greatest August ever for game releases? I suspect so, sir. What do you think?
It's wild, and I don't have time for any of it.
I'm
just trying to finish Final Fantasy before Starfield comes out. Yep. And I'm trying to get through the main campaign of Starfield before Sonic Superstars and Mario come out.
Elephant Tusk Mario's out here. Randy G, $5 super chat. He says, what up, fellas? Just here showing some support. Always enjoy your content and insights on all things gaming. Thank you so much for being here, sir. Thank you for the support. We appreciate you. He drops another $5. The same thing. Like, he did 2 of the same. Apologies. If that was by accident, please hit me up in the DMs. We will get that corrected. We don't want you to super chat the same thing multiple times if that's not was not your intention. So hopefully that's not the case. But on the point that you were making about Microsoft and what they should do and all of this, and you brought them up, so it's a good segue. Let's talk some Embracer Group, who is now starting to close some studios after losing a lot of money. Some games have come out. People have liked it. Some people have not liked it. I'm looking at you there, Saints Row. A lot of people hated on Saints Row. Although a lot of the other kind of IPs that they have acquired that they've been releasing games on now seems to be netting them some notoriety, but it doesn't seem to be working in the pocket where it matters. So now they're closing some studios. Everborn Saga, what are your thoughts, sir? Do we think Embracer's in trouble?
I don't care, but if they are in trouble, make sure Phil go get Crystal Dynamics and IDOS and bring Tomb Raider home. Bring Lara home so we can have Lara versus Joanna Dark in the Killer Instinct update. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. See, and I bring this up while you make a good point, and I agree with you. You make a very good point. I bring this up because we just finished talking about how Square has been complaining about issues for quite some time now, and now it looks like, not to be outdone, here's Embracer closing stuff left and right for similar reasons. Is this just bad decisions on their part? Because obviously the context matters in each of those instances, but it looks like it's all trending in the same direction. Does Square have a point here, or is it just straight up bad management on their part, and similarly here in the Embracer Group example?
I don't know, man, because like
it's tough.
I listen. I feel like Embracer's plan the entire time was to get acquired. I feel like they were just, because they're more of a finance company than anything else, and they just figured they'd buy the IP, they'd buy the stuff, and then somebody would come along, probably thought it was Microsoft,
yeah,
and go and buy that stuff. I'm just saying they need to slim down, and it sucks for the people that work there, but they need to focus and realize whether they really want to be a publisher, or if not, they need to unload the stuff and hopefully they can make a profit. Right?
Yeah.
Yep. And so, like I say, I think a better home for Crystal Dynamics and what do you call it? And IDOS would be at Xbox. They're already working together. We could use the whole hashtag just ones that they could make. Who else is at Embracer that might be worth a thing like this? And by the way, if you buy them one at a time, you could probably buy them under the radar, just like they probably did.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. And by the way, Embracer, to your question, who else is there? They have a lot of really good AA, if you will, studios that have made games that people went, this is not like, like burn down the world. This is the greatest studio ever. Exactly. Gunfire Games. Shout out to you, Mr. Beast Mode 10. Gunfire Games, the studio that's enjoying a lot of heat for Remnant, right? They're also under Embracer.
And and we saw Phil tweeting about Remnant 2.
Mm-hmm.
And Phil does not tweet for no reason.
Yes, yeah. For a Metro Exodus series, the people that made the Borderlands, the whole Borderlands publishing arm is under them now. There's a lot of really interesting studios there, right for the picking if you know how to strike, strategically. So you hit the low bar of what then requires regulatory attention. So. Yeah, it's interesting.
And again, you don't want to buy the whole thing. I think Yes It Is in the chat brings up something Colin said, which is it would be a PR nightmare to sell it as it is and then have Microsoft have to close down all those studios. So they're probably trying to slim up to put themselves
piecemeal,
which again sucks. This is why I say go in, pick up the ones you want, keep those whole, and then let Embracer solve their own mess.
Pick the bones of the old and then let Embracer sort out the rest. All right. Another story that I thought was interesting. Battlefield. Have you heard about this Battlefield thing? And this is kind of like an interview that was done, and a lot of really interesting nuggets came out of it. One being the new Battlefield's in the mix, and second one being that Battlefield was saved by Game Pass. Did you hear this?
But I thought it was detrimental to the industry, Kay.
Without Game
thought
Pass,
all the publishers
Battlefield would have gone belly up before the chance for another one. And this interview, and long story short, it's a really pretty good read. It's not too long. I suggest people do that. But yeah, it seems that Battlefield needed time to be in the oven, be cleaned up, and in the meantime, people needed to continue playing it in order for it to continue to have life. And Game Pass was able to really give it that 1-2 punch it needed. So here we are, right? It's now looking pretty good. Like Battlefield is looking like the next iteration will once again not include a campaign, which to me, honestly, get out of here with that. I'm sorry.
Is that what they said? The next one is not going to include the campaign either?
Just like the last one, the next one is also not including the campaign. So miss me with that.
Did you hear during when they were asked about the merger, EA said we will still be the largest publisher on Xbox before and after the acquisition? I was like, okay,
you know, a little bit of swaggers, a little bit of swagger daggers being thrown. I appreciate that from EA. Why not? Right? They're not going out there going want, bitching and moaning about it. They're saying, we still here. We still surviving and thriving.
Let me ask you a question. How does Remnant 2 remind you at all of Returnal? Just in the way that it's set up with the procedurally generated.
The look does, but to my understanding, there's a lot more to it, and the combat is a lot more involved. It's involved in a different way.
Played both games. How would you compare Remnant 2 to Returnal?
Yeah, I would ask that question. I've played Remnant 1. I haven't played Remnant 2 yet. I played all instances of Remnant except for Remnant 2. I played the VR version, I played the non-VR version, played the standard version, and now they're saying Remnant 2 is the biggest leap from that original core idea. It's a really cool, interesting story. I hope they really dig deep into that story, but we want to hear it. Like, is Remnant 2, as I'm sure by now a bunch of folks have had it in their hands, is Remnant 2 as good as people are talking about? Because people are really talking in glowing terms. I'm really, really interested in checking it out. But again, as we've said on the show right now, if you're not Starfield, I am not ready to put double-digit hours into you just yet. Mr. Bushido here with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Bushido. He says, love the show, even if I have to watch the replay. It sure would be a shame if somebody liberated those studios. Go get them, Phil. And Remnant 2 is GOAT. Game of the year. Wow.
By the way, can I just say for a minute, shout out to all the hashtag FirePhil folks. How you look now?
How you like him now? How you like Big Willie Phil now? yeah, you know. He's out there. He's doing it. He really is, People been talking a lot of smack about him, and on this show, you heard me mea culpa before, we were giving Matt Booty the business, but we had to pull it back. because we now see what's going on and behind them screens, right? In the background. They're out there really proving their worth. They're out there really, against the grain, fighting the good fight and bringing stuff to the people. So, I think it's excellent. Mr. Bushido, once again, brother, you're too kind with a $2 super chat. He says Remnant 2 is fire. All right, sir. I definitely want to check it out. I've been there's just too many games, bro. There's just too many games going on. Like, even starting Dead Island 2 like I have, I'm like, am I gonna get finished playing that? Because I'm still playing Jedi Survivor. Fine. Oh yeah. And okay. Real quick, because I brought it up, let me thread the needle, because every time I have an issue, I bring it up on here. And when the issue gets resolved, I should do that as well. I was complaining that the Rogue Ally could not play Jedi Survivor for more than 15 minutes. That was the case for about a month and a half after the game had been released. As recently as maybe 3 days ago, that has now changed. Since the latest update, which again is not an official AMD update. Screw you, AMD, but we're getting better. It now lets you play the game. No, it's not a firmware. It's still an old version of the drivers, but now it doesn't crash anymore. It doesn't crash. The only problem I have now with Jedi Survivor, which is not any fault of the hardware, but because of EA and you guys are trash, like, it doesn't recognize the differences in hardware. So if I'm playing it on my big beast 4090, it'll go, oh, here's all the frames, here's the ray tracing and all that. The minute I then continue on the Ally, it goes, here's all the frames, and then the Ally goes, because it can't handle 4090 resources. So I got to keep remembering to go toggle. Oh, before I stop playing it on my PC, set it back to 1080p. Set everything back to low, because the minute you turn it on an Ally, it's going to go, here's 4090 levels of resources on the Ally. That's the only thing that's left. But so it does continue to play now. So there's my latest report. You can now actually enjoy Jedi Survivor on the ROG Ally. Go ahead, everyone.
So there's two things. One, we have nearly 220 people watching. My God, thank you.
Excellent.
Number three.
Where's number two?
No number two. If you know, you know. But number three, only 118 likes. So, and it really helps us if you like and you subscribe to the show and share it with people and tell people about it. It's really good, and we would appreciate if you do that. And then the fourth thing is Pixelbit G has a super chat that says, go ahead and shout out to Satya for being all in for real. Listen, when he came out wearing the Halo drip in 2021, you should have known it was up since back then.
Yep.
When he was in an interview and somebody asked him what they can offer to studios, and he said straight up resources. You should have known what that man was about.
Yep.
So 100% all in. And to Pixel, he sent me a tweet of 4 people asking Killer Instinct and Evo and Iron Galaxy, please put this on PS5.
Oh wow. Okay.
So we got somebody saying need it for PS5, another one saying KI on PS5 please, or any info or anything. Man, if only we could get this on PS5. Going to throw it on PS5 too, fingers crossed. And then here we come with a person I won't name that says release this game on PlayStation and you will see how much of a difference you will receive from fans, actual gamers who support and buy games, not just waiting around for a game to be on a subscription service. Shrugs emoji. You know what? I take it back. Keep it exclusive.
You see, and they forget who they're talking to, right? When they say this, they think they're talking to Iron Galaxy and going, "Screw that! Put it on our platform and it'll work." You're talking to Microsoft. You're asking whoever happens to be. You're asking the platform holder to please bring it to your platform of choice while insulting them in the process. Good luck with that. Let's see how far that goes for you. Okay. Mr. Bushido with a $2 super chat. He says 2023 is the greatest year in gaming. Quote me. I quote you, sir, and I do not disagree wholeheartedly. There's no one can see this whole thing and say, nah, 2023 is gonna be like all the other years. Hey, I hate to say this and clip me. This is the one instance, the one and only instance where it seems that COVID actually did something good for us. Pushed every game release in 1 year, and now it looks like that year is this year and then next.
Honestly, Kay, I don't think it stops from here.
Yeah, I think it compounds because of those delays. Yeah,
what we're seeing is the floodgates open.
Yep. And you know what, sir? That is really, really apt, because that's part and parcel of the conversation that I wanted to have here, like as our big topic. Before we get there, Jax82, thank you, sir, with a $2 super chat saying people need to stop sleeping on Xbox making moves. I don't disagree. Although I do hear you. I do say that Microsoft has been, like, since they haven't connected as much as people want them to connect, they will always presumably be behind the 8 ball, like having to prove themselves, even though in many circles I think they've already proven themselves, right? People just don't see it. People just have not been able to let themselves see that they are at that point now where you can treat them like they've passed that point, right? But time will tell. I think because of these floodgates opening, and I think because of the new AAAs coming at us, it will be undeniable soon enough, to the point where no one will be able to even say anything. It'll be laughable when you don't give them the flowers or the respect they deserve. It's coming, whether you like it or not. Tay Talks, £5 super chat. Thank you so much, Tay, for being here. He says, replace Phil with Jim. Tell Jim Game Pass is the focus. Do you think Jim does a better job? Do you think Xbox is more aggressive or less aggressive, or makes more or less moves /Ls under Jim's Game Pass? Interesting question, sir. Go ahead, Everbone. What are your thoughts?
Game Pass, it would be all service games, because Jim's trying to move away from that single player thing and focus Sony's budget to that. So you attach Microsoft's budget to that. I don't know.
Yeah. Tune for Tunami. Tom from Tunami. What are we talking about? Tom from Tunami. Thank you. $5 super chat. He says, my doctor told me I need to go on a diet. My sodium levels from all these fanboys are getting my life in danger. Tom, if your sodium levels are at very dangerous levels, sir, I suggest, like you and Mr. Everborn, you may need to leave the streets, stop sleeping with the dogs, and you will stop getting the sodium-filled fleas.
All I want to say is, if that is what your doctor told you, you better hope that this thing doesn't happen with Square.
Oh boy!
Because you and me will be in an early grave from this sodium intake.
Pixel Bit G, $5 super chat. He says, reminder.
Diabetic levels of salt is what we call it.
Shadow Jago exists as a character because we KI fans supported and paid for it. They raised 10,000 off of us. Don't tell
100,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. 100,000. Don't tell me we have we don't support it. Absolutely. KI has been supported by the consumer base for a long time. Even when the vendors themselves wanted to turn the page, it wasn't going down. He was in here. I'm not sure if he's still in here. Shout out to Paris Lily. He asked the question. He put it out there on Front Street, and he needed to quickly back up when he started talking in unfavorable terms about KI. So now that I'm not sure if you saw that. As soon as the KI announcement came out, Paris was like, I am one that supports it. I have never said anything bad about it because you do not want to talk ill about them KI fans. They're coming for you. And I think Pixel is one of the chief among them who will come for you if you don't act right with KI. JD Gamer, excellent supporter of the channel. He drops a $5 super chat and he says, so we have Embracer and Square out here needing to be saved. Then we have a brother from another mother, Sega. Tell me, how do we get 2 out of 3? That's the question. You got Embracer and Square, and you got Sega. And for the benefit of this sauce that we're putting together, I will say we have the odd flavoring of Ubisoft also there, because they might need real assistance in comparison pretty soon, right? Everborn,
Let me find out,
you
like,
you wake up one
Xbox
morning and you're
is-
Amy Hood. You have Xbox's wallet. Which one's first? By virtue of priority and expedience.
I want to be very clear. Phil and Amy and Xbox, they are not Captain Save-A-Ho, right?
Wow,
They're not
okay.
just running around saving all of these people where it don't make sense. It got to make business sense.
Save-A-Ho, he says. Wow. Okay.
Right?
Indeed,
Listen,
indeed.
It's gonna be something that adds to the strategy and the Game Pass portfolio. You don't just go saying because they're in dire straits. Now, I believe that the next major acquisition, I do believe we're gonna see these little small ones. So they're gonna go and pick the pieces they want from Embracer, right? But they're not gonna buy them, right? They're gonna go and do things like they needed a fighting studio, so maybe this Iron Galaxy thing is a thing, right? They're already working with Crystal Dynamic and IDOS, so maybe that does become a thing. Those little things will happen, but those are going to be to fit specific holes in the portfolio. When we talk about saving, it's not really about saving, it is about, hey, how can this help our future plans? So I think Square or Sega solves a lot of problems with them. And I think it's more so Sega than Square. We've talked about that just because I think remember that you're gonna have to have a cultural fit, and we don't know if they have that with Square, and they do have that with Sega. So that may be a more successful pairing, but the person also has to be willing. So I can see Square. I hope for Sega, but I think that's the next publisher you see that makes any kind of sense. This idea of Ubi or Embracer, I can't see it at this point.
Okay.
Maybe Ubi would have made sense if ABK didn't happen, but now that it has,
it changes the equation. Absolutely. No, on that I agree. I will 100% agree with you that the landscape where all these things were a factor in the equation has changed by the very nature of ABK being solidified, right? ABK being solidified changes a lot of those conversations on the ground. Go ahead.
Can I bring up something interesting to you, though?
Please.
If you want to make an impact and have those kind of AAA level games, or those high quality hi-fi rush level where you can't really tell if it's AAA or AA, a very interesting studio to look at that could give you the AAA quality and like things that will really attract eyeballs to the service for very cheap. Focus Entertainment.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Now I found out on last week's show, because our chat is smarter than us, that they also own Dotemu.
Yeah,
but I also looked them up. 250 million.
Yeah,
and these are the guys that are doing Atlas Fallen. These are the guys that are doing Warhammer Space Marine later this year. These are the guys that they own the studio that did Shredder's Revenge and Street Fighter 4. So again, 250 mil.
Shout out to the man.
The quality that they can do.
Mr. Hargi Chani in here. Salute to you, good sir. He says the optics of an Embracer acquisition wouldn't be good. Too many studios. Buying something from them works better, like Crystal Dynamics. Bright minds think alike, good sir. We're on the same page. Absolutely.
And now Focus doesn't own a lot of the studios that they publish the games under, because they also published A Plague's Tale, right? So they are a publisher, but the developers they do own, Dotemu, Deck 13. Deck 13 are the ones making Atlas Fallen. Dotemu makes those 2D games we want.
And by all accounts, Atlas Fallen is going to make a splash. Unless it's broken, it's going to make a splash. Everyone is hyped for that. If it wasn't for Starfield hype, I think that thing would also get a bigger attention span
Right.
from the
And
community than
again,
it is. Yeah.
this is not a billions of dollars purchase. This is
Mm-hmm.
240 something million.
Yep.
That's their worth right now. So I think if you want to like, you know, stay small but find someone with this hyper talented
Mm-hmm.
that could fit that can give you that high profile content at a quick clip,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's a way to look. I'm just saying.
So real quick, before we get to the main story, which is more Starfield, which I really want to talk about Starfield, really quickly, Jedi Survivor is coming to last gen. They literally are releasing it on last gen. Now, I personally think this requires some tinfoil koofy talk, because I feel this was in the plan all along. I feel like, especially considering how the game released on PC and on current gen consoles, like unoptimized and broken, I feel like it was releasing all along for everything. And early on in development, it looks like they probably saw their hardware issues and decided to split it up and say, hey, we'll only focus on the first gen, get the current gen, get them out, and then we'll be in the background churning the butter on the last gen. What are your thoughts, sir? They're now talking. This coming to PS4 and Xbox One. If you see how this thing runs, oh boy, even on those gen consoles, it's better. It's much better now.
Yeah,
but what do you think?
They can tune things back. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I believe that they made a lot of updates to Fallen Order
Mm-hmm.
to get it at least playable
Mm-hmm.
on the last gen consoles.
Yeah.
And I think we got to not be snobs. Like we are fanatics, every one of us. If you're here listening to a 3+ hour podcast, 4-hour podcast,
hey, it's 2 hours and 12 minutes, sir. We're not 3 hours yet.
The point is, obviously, we're gonna do upgrades, but there are a lot of people around the world that have not upgraded.
Yes.
You have 100 and God knows how many million people on the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
You got 40, 50, 60 million people on the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what percentage of those have already upgraded, so this won't affect. But why not? This is not hurting you at all. Those people exist. There's a lot of people that have not upgraded, right?
Yep.
I say let them do it. Let them do it. It's not as that what they did was they prioritized us first because we're the whales.
Yeah.
And we got the game first, and we didn't let the old stuff slow us down like they did with Cyberpunk. So they released the best version they could. I know it could have been better, but that was what they could do in the time they had. And then they've updated it. I hope that before this comes out, you have a solid 60 FPS working on the consoles that we have current gen. And then why not support the last gen? I support it. Make the money. They made a great game. I want more people to play it. So
I completely agree with you, sir.
Seal of approval on this one.
I completely agree with you, sir. And you know what? We will move with that. I won't even argue. I won't even belabor the point because I come 100%. I'm in agreement with you, sir. I think those folks that are always on the newest, latest, best, why are we removing last gen from it? If you can make it happen, make it happen. You know, if you're building a game and technologically you're hindering it because you want to adhere to last gen, that I may have a problem with, but that's not what this is. So they did the best they could here, and now they're going back to last gen and doing
mode,
it.
I am certain that they have analytics as to who are still playing on.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's no way they would do that if they would not. Yeah.
Right.
There's no way they would spend the money if they don't have the telemetry that tells them there's a huge install base.
We it seems like we're having a little bit of first world problems.
Exactly.
It seems like to me.
No, I'm happy that the first world problems folks aren't the only ones that get to make the determinations here, right? There are many people that old 360s.
We're like, yo, they got an old console. Yeah. How dare you make anything for them,
bro? I advocate. Remember, I'm the one that advocated for Xbox 360. Put a Game Pass app, cloud app on that thing. There are still people that play it. Put a Game Pass app on that thing. You don't have to support it at all. Just Game Pass app. Put it there because your browser's there. You put it in, or no, not even Game Pass app. Put the Edge browser in it. And then say it's dead technology, but it's got the Edge browser. And because of that, people will be able to play Game Pass through that Edge browser and keep that hardware live for a long time. I advocate for anybody who wants to do it.
no ports for you. It's like the
Yeah,
soup
no. I personally think that to me is, keep that old hardware alive for as long as it possibly can. I know that business doesn't think that way, and obviously there are business concerns that make different statements true. But from a technology, from a keeping the tech alive and not just obscurely depreciating it because it's time, I think doing that is perfect in that respect. Okay, so JD Gamer, $5 super chat. He says, if you were Microsoft, what dev would you pick from Embracer Group? What smaller dev, not publisher, would you acquire outside of Embracer Group? For me, if I was a Microsoft, which devs would I pick from Embracer? That's low hanging fruit.
We
man.
already know.
I would pick Crystal Dynamic, and I would also I would look and find any and every team within Embracer that I have already had a deal with as far as Game Pass games, because there have been a lot of Game Pass games that have been Embracer Group games. Way Forward, a bunch of different small little indie that people call them fodder, but if you haven't had a chance, if you don't have a little one that you're discovering new games to play, you may never click on that thing. But when you do click on it, you're like, yo, this game is far better than it has any right to be. And by and large, those small indie style games and indie style developers aren't getting the credit that they deserve, and a lot of them are within the ranks of Embracer. So I think there's a lot to be grabbed there on the cheap, right? So for me personally, obviously the hot ticket items, your Crystal Dynamics and all those, but there are also lots of little ones here and there that also deserve that respect. He asks, what about outside of Crystal Dynamics? There are so many studios outside of Crystal Dynamics, but for now, honestly, I don't think they need to go unless you're in the mix with Microsoft right now, where you're doing something. Your Avalanches, your IO Interactives that all have some kind of game that they're working with Microsoft on. Besides that, I think Microsoft has such a plethora of a stable of studios at this point that if they say, oh, we're sole focusing our M&A talent on the Japanese region, we want to get Sega or whatever, maybe something in Poland, right? And then we're done. I would have no issues with it, because they have acquired so many different avenues to really then make different games, and they've also shown their willingness to make their existing studios go do different things. Hey, racing studio, go make Fable, right? They're willing to do that. So with that in mind, you have Activision Blizzard that has so much talent, right? And they've shown you that they can pull so much out, as long as you want to, prioritize creativity instead of business, which obviously they can exist. So for me, that's 100% where I'm going with it. Mr. Everborn Saga, besides Sega, because we know it's Sega, besides Crystal Dynamic, because that's low hanging fruit. What do you think? I see Beast Mode 10 in the chat talking Crytek, IO, Remedy, Certain Affinity. Rocksteady? How about Rocksteady? But what do you think?
Remedy. Remedy's on the crap list.
Why?
Because they got their community director out there trying to feed into the
talking smack.
Larry
talking smack. Yeah. Smack talking Remedy community manager.
You're a communications director, and you don't realize the impact of what you're saying right there.
Yep.
Think about that.
Well,
you're just not. You're not even. I'm not gonna say it.
Mm-hmm.
But you should know better as a communications director.
Dorian Gray thinks that Asobo should already be part of the stable. I wholeheartedly agree, sir. Even though the question is their independence, they might not want to be bought yet and whatever. But no, if they were on the table, if they were on the chopping block and they wanted to be purchased, I think Microsoft would say yes in a heartbeat. What do you think?
Okay, yeah, I don't know if Asobo wants to be acquired.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's actually pretty difficult to lock down these French developers. They're very
very independent driven. Very
independent. They're very French.
Yes. Very French. Do not insult or slander our French brethren right now on this show, sir.
I will. I've been to France maybe 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, as have I.
I can tell you.
Yeah,
they're being very French. But anyway, but no,
you know what?
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
To answer the question, so obviously, Embracer also has the studio that did Evil West, right?
Yes, they do.
Is that A4 games?
Yeah,
Or is
4A.
that or 4A games? So
Mm-hmm.
4A you pick up, because I think Evil West would have done very well if they would have put it in Game Pass, right? I think it came and went because it wasn't there. And I think they lost out because of that, because it was something we were all interested in, and then it came out and we didn't even know it came out. Right?
True. Yeah.
If you could put the Game Pass spotlight on it, that would be good. I
Yeah.
definitely think Remnant 2, just from what I'm seeing from it, I haven't played it.
It's really getting that attention.
If you see the quality of it, it seems like that dev has that Housemarque quality.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So that would be good from Embracer. Obviously, Crystal Dynamic and IDOS, because they're already working on stuff, and Tomb Raider would be good. And if you notice what I'm focusing on, it is the whole, even after ABK, which is the third person action adventure. Right?
Okay. No,
that's a hole they need to.
You're right. You're right. That's the hole they need to thread.
Now,
Absolutely. Yep.
So that was from Embracer. That's part one. Now he said no publishers. He said smaller studios. So what smaller studios outside of Embracer would I look at? Again, I think they should very seriously be looking at Focus Entertainment, because again, 250 million, you put some markup on that, buy them for 300, 350. And that's, well, I guess I can't do that because that's a whole publisher. But they have Dotemu, and I think Dotemu can make a lot of the games that we talked about with Double Dragon, and that can be a really good.
You should check the chat. So many great ideas, man. IO is in there. Warhog Studios from Poland. GSC Games. I mean, come on. There's so many great. Saber. Shout out to you, Mr. Joanna Dark. Yes, Saber Interactive.
Wait a minute.
I'm listening.
Is that the same Saber Interactive that got kicked off of the Star Wars game, or is that a different Saber Interactive?
I think it is the same. Am I wrong?
The same one that has only made those. I mean, they do make mobile games, so I guess that would be good for Xbox. I don't know. I got to think about that one. Let me think.
While Everborn Saga thinks about whether he should be slandering Saber Interactive, let me go back to the chat, back to the poll, and finish it up, because we're heading to our big story of the day. And the poll, just to finish it up. But before we do that, thank you guys so much for being here. 210 concurrent viewers in here, 134 likes. Please get them likes up, ladies and gentlemen. If you can, we appreciate it. Hit that like button if you have not hit that like button already. Let a friend know that we're in here. Please consider subscribing, because we do this every week, both on a Saturday and on a Monday night, where we talk more PC stuff with the man, Mr. John Wolf. Salute to him and the Gamers Playground. The chat has decided, everyone, and the question was, should KI go multi-plat? 22% say yes, it should. 53% say no, it shouldn't. And 26% say, shut up, Everborn. So, I would say, by the very nature, the shut up group joins the no. So we're talking a quarter of the chat says yes.
Wait, why do you think they don't join the yeses? Hold on a minute.
Nobody would say shut up. No one,
because we know it's gonna happen. It's like,
no one, please chat, disabuse this man of his ridiculous notions. No one is saying shut up, Everborn, because you're right. No, they're all saying shut up, Everborn, because you're wrong, and we don't want that to permeate the zeitgeist. That's why they're telling you to shut up. So they're joining the no category. People, tell me if I'm wrong here. If you said shut up because the answer was yes, I want to hear you, because I say you said shut up because the answer was hell no. What are you smoking on a Saturday morning? And because of that, to me, that's 75% hell no to your 25% yes.
Okay.
That's what
Aspire. It's Aspire that's
it's Aspire that did that. Yes, absolutely. Okay. And Cheo Walker puts it in here. He puts it plain. He says, "Shut up because you're wrong, sir." Thank you, Cheo Walker. I appreciate that.
Damn.
So yes, there we go.
Real
But all right, final topic of the day, and we'll get out of here. But this is a topic that has been like kicking in my brain for some time now, and you hear it even at the beginning of the show where we're talking about these little games, these great little indies and this and that, right? And I wanted to talk to you about it, Everborn, because it's been really interesting for me where I find myself. Until Starfield shows up, I feel like no other really big game will get the attention, at least not in my head. And I've seen a lot of people talk similarly about Starfield taking all the energy in the room. I was talking to Mr. Boomstick, same thing, right? Oh, it's so big, it's so large, it's so heavy, and it's coming so soon.
Whoa. Slow down.
Child. Fine, pause. That it is taking up so much of the energy in the room that it makes it difficult for others to have any kind of attention. Okay. Now, this is my contention, right? And you've brought it up already today. I contend, and please, before you bring the pitchforks out, hear me clearly. I contend that when it comes to talking about Starfield, it has the potential, well, not even the potential, it has reached the hype level beyond your Elden Ring, beyond your Hogwarts Legacy. I say the closest zeitgeist gathering IP that can be compared to Starfield today is Cyberpunk. Now, when I say that, I know people will quickly have the connotation, oh no, that was a cautionary tale. What are you talking about? Right? I hear you. But if you recall, Cyberpunk started its life as the next thing in gaming. The benchmark that all other games will be measured against, right? This will change gaming forever. And for better or worse, I say it did, right? Yes, there was a cautionary tale based on all the bugs and blah 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 blah. But as a game by itself, I still contend that Cyberpunk was a watermark of that open world type of genre. They really took it to different places. Yes, we want more, but they really did take it to different places. And there will be new games that will come out that you'll say, oh yeah, it did what Cyberpunk, it followed the Cyberpunk path, right? I think Starfield is heading down that path, way beyond all the other games that have been marketed and all that. We're talking game of a generation. We're talking games that people will continue to come back to even when we're many consoles ahead, just like Skyrim did, right? And it's very difficult to say that in this world right now because as Hargeet is pointing out in the chat, and salute to you, good sir, he's saying, while this is all happening, we still have other Game of the Year contenders out there, right? Zelda is not to be taken lightly, right? And there are many others out there that people are saying, hey, like, there are people out there saying Remnant 2, Game of the Year. They will hear nothing about it. But I contend that Starfield is a cut above all of them, right? Now, I want to have the BS AS conversation before Starfield and after Starfield. Now, when I say before Starfield, after Starfield, I'm not talking about just the game itself, but Everborn, you can approach that. You can talk about that if you so choose. You know, the game itself and how it hits and what it means for ZeniMax and for Bethesda and their game as you know it, right? I'm talking about Microsoft has been cobbling together this Netflix of game idea for a long time. Like, it went from, oh, it's just an idea, to now it's, hey, we're almost there. We're getting the flywheel turning. It's almost there. And it seems to me that Starfield is the first one. It is the starting line, the beginning salvo, and after that, things change. Everborn Saga, please, am I wrong in that assertion? Right? Is this just another game and it comes out and everything is status quo? Or this game comes out and it changes everything, for better or worse? What do you think?
I think that the way our minds work is that we look at certain milestones, but in reality, all of this is attrition, right? I
Okay.
think Starfield is a big leap, but it is all a part of a grand scheme of things, and these things all feed into each other. So this idea that Game Pass is somewhere between 25 and 30 million,
Mm-hmm.
huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
The news of ABK closing will bring in millions and millions
Millions
more
more.
Game Pass
Mm-hmm.
subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
The Xbox Live Gold switching over to Game Pass is an avenue to advertise this to more people. Not that they couldn't,
Yep.
but
Yep. Yep.
they'll use that in the ways because they're going to say you're in Game Pass now. All of that feeds back into this, and this is a big content drop. So I don't think that we can actually look at Starfield in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
We have to look at it as they're going to take bigger swings, because a few months after Starfield comes out, we'll potentially get ABK into the service. You'll get Diablo in the service,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think the 2023's COD, I'm not worried about that marketing deal because I think they changed that. I think 2023's COD will be in Game Pass, and that will bring in a bunch of users, more people that will play Starfield, right? And Starfield being there and being the talk of the town will create a larger environment for those people to go and play the Activision game. All these things feed into each other. So I think instead of seeing a before and after, what we're looking at is a gradual ramp up and putting chess pieces in place. And so Starfield now seems like it's this one thing and we're focused on this one thing. But if everybody comes into the service and then plays Starfield and now they're in the ecosystem, and then, oh, by the way, here is all your old Activision games that you love, here is Diablo, here is all these other things, then that ramps up even more. And then 2024 with Hellblade and whatever Bethesda and the rest of the ZeniMax stuff, all that is sort of I said ramp up already, but that's what I mean. I don't think it's a before and after. I think it's easy to look at these titles, but I think Starfield is just one puzzle piece.
One more title, one puzzle piece to the whole mix.
Forward.
Okay. Hollywood Rules, $5 super chat. Happy Saturday to my favorite Saturday pairing. Happy Saturday to my favorite Saturday pairing. Keep up the great work. Yo Everborn Saga. Sega. Okay?
Yes, sir.
It's big and heavy. Pause, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. Forgive me. I forgot who I was talking to and dealing with. We are man babies here. I understand that. Forgive me.
Hold on. You and all your peaches talk and this Matt Booty stuff. Don't come at me.
No, okay. I hear you. Look, man, I'm allowed to take some liberties as the host of this show. Okay, forgive me. All right, let's round it back to what we were talking about here. I hear what you're saying. I do, but even what you're saying here kind of proves my point a little bit, right? People have been giving Xbox and Game Pass as a whole, oh yeah, it's gonna start up this month. Oh, give them time next year. That whole next year narrative has been a thing that's been ongoing for a while. It stopped when Hi-Fi Rush came about, right? And when they started making those moves there, people went, oh, okay, it seems like they know what they're doing, so I'm going to sit back and I'm going to see what they do next. But even by the way you're talking and how you think the moves will be made next, it being another piece of the puzzle for it, it's showing that they're not moving in a responsive manner, but like they have a vision and a game plan and they're executing. So again, it tells me that after Starfield, you're not expecting Redfalls anymore. Or do you think that's still a thing that may happen? Like, they release a couple really good ones and then we get a Starfield and that's just still part of the equation. Do you, and this is a conversation not just to you, Everborn, please chat, like let me know what's good here. Do you still foresee Microsoft being the Microsoft meaning 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, bumbling or whatever? Some people fight, some people say they're doing good or not. Are we still going to be talking about them in the same way we do post Starfield? That's my question.
So here's the thing. The answer is yes, because there will always be some false narrative to go against.
Okay.
So that answers that question. But in reality, right? And again, you got a lot of the, as King called them, mustard heart dudes that fall for this thing every time. So here's the thing. The reality, like, these are the facts.
Yeah.
If we look at Metacritics from the time the Series X launched till now, they had one miss, right? Everything else is high 80s and 90s, right?
Sure, yeah.
So will there be red falls every now and again? Yes. Does that matter?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
If you want to make an omelet, you're going to break a few eggs. If you want to paint a masterpiece, you got to use some dark colors. So there will be misses. But if we're looking at the grand scheme of things, there are 6 first-party titles released this year, 4 of which were exclusive. Well, when by the time I'm saying when the year is said and done, right? So we're talking about Forza Motorsport, we're talking about Starfield, we're talking about Redfall, we're talking about Minecraft Legends, we're talking about Hi-Fi Rush, and we're talking about Ghostwire Tokyo, right? What was the quality on every one of those games? There's been 4 that is released so far, only 1 was a miss, and we don't expect the other 2 to be misses. So that's happening right now, today.
Well, okay, let's be fair though. If we're talking about technical, right? We're talking about technical quality, right? You're right, but we're also talking technical quality in the frame while we're talking about Starfield, which, let's be clear, prime your pump, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hoping for non-game breaking bugs, but if you think this game is coming out day and date, bugless, perfect, like day one, like it is Hi-Fi Rush levels of quality, I got a bridge to sell you. By the very nature of its complexity,
3 was not going to have issues. It does
exactly
have
exactly
right now.
By the very nature of its complexity, they would have to delay this 2-3 more years and keep playing through it over and over and over and over again to discover all the various bugs. I think they did that with their last delay, and still I don't foresee this being bugless. So let's be clear on that. I hope people aren't getting ready with the pitchforks when they see a bug, because you might as well start now, because that will happen. Am I wrong in that, everyone?
I mean, sure, but I think we have to look. So here's the thing.
And let me be clear. I'm not saying that's detrimental. I'm not saying that's a black eye on Microsoft or on ZeniMax. I'm saying that at the high that they are playing, at the level that they are playing at, where, let's be clear, nobody else but ZeniMax plays there with this level of complex world building, there is no choice but to have some bugs from time to time. Even Skyrim today, years after, still has bugs that haven't been fixed by them and the community has been fixing, because they play at that high clip. But continue.
But again, I think the whole bug thing is another red herring. Not saying that that's what you're doing, but do you understand that you have entire channels that were dedicated to finding Elden Ring exploits and bugs that you could use even this Double Dragon game? I had to restart it once because I got caught in a death animation at the same time that the boss was moving to another stage, and the boss did his animation, and I'm stuck with 0 health and can't attack and can't move, and so I had to restart the game. There are things in bugs that is completely a separate conversation. All these people that love Jedi Survivor, that was buggy as hell.
Bug-ridden as hell, bro. Bug-ridden as hell. Absolutely.
We have to. So there's these 2 things. There is generally accepted reality, and then actual reality. And so this idea that they're bumbling around and not doing this, they're not doing that, when in fact they are releasing first-party games at a high clip, at quality, save for one misstep.
Sure.
Right now in front of us. So this idea that something needs to change is not really true. It's just like people think that Starfield isn't marketed for some weird reason. Watch it do bigger numbers than the biggest game this year.
Talk about that a little bit.
Right?
And for those who are not aware, the Twitter streets is a fire right now, because they are criticizing the fact that seemingly Starfield is not getting the big push of a AAA marketing push that they are used to seeing.
I'm going to tell you right now, in the age of digital marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I do this all the time, and I'm sure there are people doing this with way more complex strategies than mine,
Mm-hmm.
right? When I advertise Everborn Saga, I want to advertise it to new people that have not mentioned it or seen it or purchased from my store before, because they already know who I am,
Mm-hmm.
right? So because you're not seeing it doesn't mean that it's not being marketed. And if you look at Sony, who does those billboards ads that for some people reason people want it, and they really only want it because Sony's doing it, if we're being honest. Sony makes $25 billion a year in revenue. They only make about 2+ billion in actual net revenue. So they're operating at a 10% margin. And I would argue that part of that is probably because of all of the marketing that they do.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So again, if we're living in a new world, if you have a captive audience of 30 million people with no barrier of entry,
Yep.
right? You can advertise to them on day one and get a lot of people there. People will play it, people will stream it, they will talk about it. Starfield is the most searched upcoming game. Starfield is the most wishlisted game. So if we're saying this game is not marketed and then it does bigger numbers than the biggest game this year, let's
So
revisit that conversation then.
so I
Again,
did hear.
there is accepted reality and there's actual facts. So it's not a matter of before and after Starfield for
Mm-hmm.
me to answer the
Mm-hmm.
main question.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
is, can they continue on the trajectory that they're on?
Well, no,
And I say that
100%. I agree with you that it is. Can they continue on the trajectory that they're on? But that idea that you're talking about, where perception being reality, it seems like in the perception of our consumer base that there is a perception clearly that this is a turning page, right? Starfield is when we turn the page from the Xbox that couldn't get it together to now the
they
Xbox
said
that
that about
releases.
Redfall.
And then Redfall came out and Redfall did what Redfall did, right? So the question again, that's why I go before and after. Because literally, it's happening out there in the public. And Microsoft, for their part, isn't dissuading people from having that line, right? They're not saying, "Hey guys, pump your brakes. This is a game among many. We're growing." They are, "Yup, this is it. This is the beginning of the new generation because we say so. This is Starfield," right? And this is a JPEG we've seen for years. We saw this JPEG. Did we see this JPEG before we even saw battle? Did we see this before we saw Cyberpunk? Because remember, this was released like the name Starfield was put into the gaming consciousness many years, even before before Fallout 4 was announced and released, right? So it's been building and culminating for a very, very long time. It leads me to think, to your point, is perception reality here? Will Microsoft be able to walk and talk the way people want them to post the brilliance that is Starfield? Or is it the same thing of, hey, they got a good one, but then don't worry, there'll be questions or an asterisk later? That's what brings me to my line of questioning. And to be fair, I'm super excited for the game. I'm super excited to see them realize their vision and get some much needed respect in this, because they've been putting in the work, right? But the context always seems to kind of dash them.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Now there's a couple of things here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I have some super chats I want to catch up on, but go ahead.
There's a couple of things here.
Mm-hmm.
Respect from who? The
Just
disingenuous people
no,
that
no,
are
no, 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 no,
pretending
no,
they're
no.
concerned
That's
right
not.
now?
That's not. No, 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 no. That's not what I'm talking about. Because remember, you lay in them streets. You lay in them streets far more than I do.
But
So
I think
I don't necessarily hear their narratives as much. It's just like.
But this is one of them. You're making one of their narratives right now. I think you may have caught fleas, sir.
But my point, and hear me. My point is, right? Because PlayStation and non-Xbox gaming has been the name of gaming for so long, it seems that Microsoft has always been behind the 8 ball. Even when they have huge success with the 360, it becomes an outlier. And then they have the Xbox One, and then they go back to being behind the 8 ball, right? So much so that even those who are not the console warriors, and you know it as well as I do, consider PlayStation the name of gaming. My question is, does this finally break that narrative once and for all? Right? And you're right that narrative is a console warrior narrative, but that's one that has been allowed to reach into the mainstream because you hear mainstream folks talking that way all the time now. And I think it's unfair. My question is, and you and I both know, we've already talked about it here, a lot of the stuff that's unfair, although it is unfair, it's for Microsoft to break. My question is this game, Starfield, and this time and this release and their success in doing so, what will break that narrative in the mainstream? I'm not looking for the console warriors. That we don't hear what they have to say. I'm talking in general. Will this bring Xbox to the same level in the minds of the normals as PlayStation?
I think the framing of this question answers it for you.
Okay.
Right? Because every time they do something, people will say, well, I didn't believe you before and I don't believe you right now. Therefore, you are not believable. Right? So this idea, like, so, and I'm giving you an example. And I get that you're asking the question from a genuine place, but I think that this is sort of fruit of a poisonous tree.
Oh,
right?
no.
So you're asking
you're not wrong.
question.
I'm asking I'm asking a genuine question because that question has been allowed to permeate from the hardcore base, the hardcore warrior base, right? And now is part of general parlance, general narrative, as if that's so normal, which I think is unfair.
What I'm saying is the people that contribute to this
that narrative,
assumption, their minds cannot be changed, and it will not matter. So what? So
you're telling me the Screen Rants and the Kotakus, and not to call aspersions on all those various media outlets that you see headlines and you go, come on, guys, this one's really unfair. You're saying that will never change, even after all of this happens and Starfield is monster successful, and it's like, maybe Microsoft has a game of the year that even the Keeleys acknowledge. Kotaku will still be on the hunt. Metroid UK will still be posting hit pieces. That's what you're saying.
I am saying the same people that told you they're worried about Starfield having 1,000 planets are praising Baldur's Gates for having 1,400 endings and 75 subclasses.
So as Mr. Joanna Dark puts it, the goalpost always moves.
So right. So what I'm getting at is we see this over and over again. Microsoft needs to produce quality games. They can't produce quality games. They win Publisher of the Year, and then all of a sudden no one cares about Publisher of the Year. That doesn't matter. Oh, they can't make quality games. Here's the list of the games they've released in the last 4 years, and they're all critically acclaimed. But those don't count, right? So now we have a game that will potentially be Game of the Year, and they're like, well, if it doesn't put them, you're not saying this, but if it doesn't change the narrative from all of these anti-Xbox places, then I guess they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And it's just this, it's these double standards and sort of this perception change that's not all they can do is continue to release and let the actual facts, let the review scores, let the sales, let the number of releases, let all of those speak for themselves. And it's not about what one thing, because putting it all on one thing, you're not doing this, but putting everything on one release, it is a discredit to everything else that is coming out, every other release, taking place, everything that has been built up to get us right here. So I am just sort of attacking this from the premise itself sets Xbox up for failure. And I think we should only entertain conversations about where the data takes us. And the data says they are releasing a big game every quarter. They are releasing exclusives. They are releasing games at quality. Now, you may say, well, they need a specific genre or not. And then I will say right there, yes, they do. Right? You may say they need to play to the Japanese audience. I say, yes, they do. That's where Sega comes in. But the point is, it is not all on Starfield. Starfield will be good, but it is not going to change the hearts and minds of the people whose minds don't want to be changed. That's really the best way I can answer that question.
Beast Mode 10 with 100 Indian rupees. Thank you so much. He says FIFA license is up for grab. Xbox should buy that and ask EA or 2K to develop them. That'd be weird because EA would that'd be a way of circumventing EA's own issues. Yeah, now we own it, and go ahead, EA, you can now have it back. I'm sure. I have a feeling that FIFA would not be happy. FIFA would not be happy with that outcome. They'd be like, nah, homie, we took it away from them for a reason, you know? Dan the Man Cunningham. It's been a minute since
I say something about
name.
FIFA. Believe it or not, FIFA is just as big as COD worldwide and bigger than COD in Europe.
Yep. Oh yeah. With the Ultimate Teams, prints money. Every single year, it prints money for them. Absolutely. Dan
Actually,
the Man Cunningham
turns in the EU if they were to do that. They wouldn't.
Yep.
That wouldn't be allowed.
$5 super chat. He says, "Good day, gentlemen. Just showing some support. Hope all is well. Keep up the great work." Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here. All is wonderful, and we appreciate you showing your support and being here and watching our stuff and commenting as you do. We appreciate you, sir. No. Okay, so I see where you're coming from with this whole this Starfield stuff. I do. Your point on it being poison from a fruit from a poison tree, like it is very apt analogy to make with that. I'm just at a place with Starfield right now where there's just so much that's unknown about it. And to your point, I understand why they're marketing it the way they are, because I see what did I see? I think I saw that in the chat as well. Wade Johnson 1 here posted that if PlayStation had the marketing for Starfield, there'd be 75 commercials from it already, right? You're absolutely right? But we have had this conversation before, Everborn, and I think and
how'd that marketing work out for Final Fantasy?
Although I hate giving you your flowers on this show, I will allow it this time around, because if you recall, we had similar conversation when Hi-Fi Rush came out, when High on Life came out, right? People were talking about, well, come on now, we don't see it marketed anywhere. And then High on Life became the biggest Game Pass game out there. And if I recall digital receipts, you said something to the effect of, it is the way it is, and I agreed with you, that we are in a new world now, right? It's the Netflix model of marketing. You don't see Netflix's movies on billboards everywhere, but Extraction 2 made all the monies or pulled in all the eyeballs because they have a different way of marketing it. You have a consistent 25, 30 million people who will always see what you have to say to them, right? You may or may not get them to hit the buy button or hit the play button, but you will at least be able to get them, because they're paying for the subscription service, so it's in their best interest to do so. You'll get them to see whatever new thing you're trying to do. So that is 30 million guaranteed eyeballs on Starfield the day it releases, right? And by that very nature, you probably don't want to waste your cash, covering the spread as traditional has been. Right, PlayStation's still doing that, and PlayStation, it looks good when PlayStation does that, right? You love seeing the billboards on when you're walking down the street or in the subway, and you see a God of War on the walls and all that stuff. But
why? Why do you want them to spend millions of dollars to tell you about a game you already know about?
People aren't thinking, but to your point, people aren't thinking with their strategic hat, right? They're thinking as gamers. They're not thinking from a business perspective. They don't connect the dots to how much money that leaves Sony's pocket every time you see that, or every time they put that in a different country or different state or different marketing opportunity. They don't connect those dots that PlayStation, who compared to Xbox, is far less capable to do that, and they're still doing that, right? So that tells me that by the very nature of Xbox not doing that, it's because they see it being more advantageous for them to do the digital guerrilla marketing that they have been doing, and the numbers seems to be working in their favor, right? Hi-Fi Rush had zero marketing, right, until they dropped it in everybody's lap, splash, and used their guerrilla marketing tactics that they've always been using to get that thing to push. And by and large, they've come out and say, hey, it made all the numbers. There were talks of maybe it didn't hit the numbers they wanted them to. That was pushed back on quickly, right? So again, to your point, and it's hard for me to give you your flowers, but jokes aside, you were right on that score, right? You may not see the billboards of old traditional media that you expect, but the numbers tell you that what they're doing is working, right? Am I wrong in that, everyone? Like the numbers speak to it.
You're telling me I'm right. Why would I disagree with you? But I want to take a moment to shout out Mr. Inferno Games, who sent his first
and I will put that on display. Thank you, Mr. Inferno Games, for the super chat, $5 super chat. He says the reasonable people will come out, and many have already decided Xbox will never be an option and cast thin veils of objectivity. Yeah, absolutely. They're doing their best to shroud themselves in the I'm just a gamer asking questions talk. But when you tease out the debate, you'll realize that they are where they are. They think what they think, and nothing will ever change that. Actually, to that point, I don't know if you saw, and not to derail, but I don't know if you saw the great interview that Destin Legary did with Colin, right? That point, the point that Mr. Inferno Games brings up here, that was very apt in that discussion. That's what I thought of the whole time, right? He brought up very interesting points, but ultimately his mind wasn't changed, even though those points actually should have changed his mind.
You can't change someone's mind who is not open to their mind.
To have their mind.
That being said, I want to talk about that interview because, believe it or not, Rand and Jez are going to have Colin on Xbox 2. So this is something
that's excellent.
I'm gonna 2+1. I'm going to call Rand later today, to make sure he gets a
question you want to ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
the thing is this. Now, Colin's current concern with Game Pass. This is based on the interview with Destin. And again, I do want to say this. I listen to Colin's opinions on PlayStation. I don't really care about his opinion on Xbox because he's not an Xbox channel, right? Like if you if you're not in the ecosystem and your opinions don't seem to jive well with the reality of people that are in the ecosystem that know, you can't really hold that. So I do feel like we do tend to get very upset as Xbox fans at Colin, but I don't know why. Like he's not an Xbox channel, right? So why are we puting so much weight on whether he likes the box that we like or not? Right?
I think it's because people are engaging with him at the level he wants them to engage with him, and he wants them to engage with him earnestly, that he's not a one side versus another. He's calling it down the middle, and everyone upset because they don't see that. You know what I'm saying?
But I think that he acknowledges that he's a PlayStation guy. So like, what's the he says he's a PlayStation guy. He has PlayStation centric takes.
See the difference is
why are we mad that he doesn't like Xbox?
You say you're an Xbox guy, right? But your 1 + 1 = 2, whether it's favorable or not favorable, right? Others say they are PlayStation people, but their 1 + 1 skew depending on the scenario, and that's what rubs people the wrong way.
That's fine, but what I'm saying is, I feel like people get way more upset at Colin than they do MGB because they expect MGB is going to say the type of things MGB says.
Sure.
He's a PlayStation perspective channel.
Yeah.
So if Colin tells you this is a a PlayStation podcast and
Mm-hmm.
he says something that doesn't make sense about Xbox, why do we care?
You should take him at his
Right?
word. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't
Right?
disagree with
What
you on that
in
one.
the same way you don't take MGB's Xbox takes seriously. You might
Mm-hmm.
make fun of it or something, but people actually get. I just don't get it. Anyway, the point is, here's the point. If he's gonna talk to
And
Rand,
by the way, here's Mr.
um,
Joanna Dark in our chat exposing himself, but it's okay. It's all right. Continue. He says, I am a Nintendo bot. Thank you. I appreciate that.
so
I've always known that, Mr. Joanna Dark. I appreciate you putting it out on digital receipts to be captured, sir. Thank you.
Pixelbit G says people get upset because y'all put reverence to BS as opposed to just saying it's nonsense.
Yeah.
But I'm saying right now,
It's BS.
that is not really pertinent to this. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
not worth adjudicating, but there is this idea that the economics don't work, which is literally based on nothing, because under oath they said
Nothing.
that
Yeah.
the service is profitable.
Absolutely. Yep.
But
Yep.
I think the thing that's left out about that is, while it won't make, because this is the red herring of that argument. No, it doesn't make sense for Take-Two to put GTA into a service like Game Pass. Why? Because they're not the platform holder.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
So while these AA games make sense to go into the service if you're a third party, so it's like high quality AA and older release AAA and unknown new IP, right? You want to get a lot of players there, Exo Prime or whatever. All that makes sense, right? Because it takes away the risk of the development cost, or it amortizes the cost after you've passed your sales window. All that's fine. But this idea, they are trying to equate Xbox first party AAA games with the likes of the FIFAs and the and the GTAs, and that's a false dichotomy, because if you are the platform holder, it behooves you to put AAA content in the service.
Mm-hmm.
You're not paying a markup for the profit that you expect to make. Yep. That you would have to pay a Take-Two, right?
Because you're not sharing your revenues. You're not doing any of that. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You're not paying Take-Two for their production cost plus projected profit, right? Mm-hmm. You are just going to pay the cost to develop COD. Let's say that's 200 million. And you're going to weigh that against all the sales you get from other platforms. And then you're going to say, how many people will this bring into my platform? And once they're in the platform, they're going to spend money in your store, and you're going to get 30% of everything they do. So this is why you can look at AAA exclusive titles or just titles in Game Pass. You have to merge that with your advertising cost, right? And people who want billboards, would you rather billboard or them putting that money into high quality content that will turn eyeballs to the service? So for you, when you spend 200 million on a title and it brings in 1 million subscribers who are going to pay you $15 a month for Game Pass and then buy microtransactions in other games, your cost is now covered. So the idea that someone who is a developer and who says they're concerned with economics to not understand that, I don't believe that's true.
Yeah, you think he's purposely doing that?
Absolutely. He's either purposely doing that or he's fucking stupid. That's my one, and I don't think he's stupid.
Wow. Okay, there you go. All right.
That's all I want to say on that.
Okay, for sure. Jeez, lay it flat on a Saturday morning, sir. Lay it flat. Big pause. Voidlock with a $2 super chat. He says Remnant 2 is goated and Returnal was a buggy mess. Yeah, to be fair, it was a buggy mess when launched, but now, much like Remnant 2, and I actually don't even know if Remnant 2 is solid, I would say Returnal is now very solid. Like it post PC launch, they've cleaned it up. It runs really well. I actually beat it on PC, could barely play it on PlayStation because it was really buggy at the time. I kept hitting a lot of the bugs and stuff during PlayStation, but now it seems to be working really well on PC. So, yes. But I do hear you. Remnant 2 is getting that goated talk left and right. I may just have to dip into that. Although I will say, as a person who plays not only on console, I waited long enough, and Remnant 1 was given to me for free at the Epic Game Store. I suspect if I wait a year, I probably will get Remnant 2 as well. But I probably have to wait a year for that to happen. But needless to say. So, okay.
Maybe you get it in Game Pass.
Yeah, maybe. Yes, because they are talking.
I should buy it and then
yeah, you should definitely buy it. You should definitely buy it. Just like you bought Diablo 4 and I was like, yes, because now we're good. There you go, right? Definitely. So you Everborn Saga should 100% buy Remnant 2 because I need that game for free and I'm not trying to pay for it. So you should definitely buy that and that'll help us. But all right, before we close up shop for today, let me ask you, seriously, are you planning on playing Starfield? Like it is a single player game, I know, and that tends to be our bag.
That may have been the dumbest question you've ever asked me.
Well, no. I'm asking you this because
I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce had the best album this year. Go ahead.
Bro, the game looks like it'll be 300, 400, 500 hours. How many games do we avoid that way? I will tell you the reason I did not play too much of, say, Persona 5 is fear of the 200 plus hours I needed to commit in order to finish that damn game. It's a serious thing, and it looks like Starfield is taking all those really big, heavy-hitting games and saying, hold my beer. This will be a huge, long pause. Give up your life for a long time title. Does that not put pressure on people to play? What do you think, sir?
I think Starfield is I was gonna say it's the game I'll be playing for the rest of the year, but
that seems like it's a short time. Yeah, Sonic is coming out. Mario's coming out. Now. There's a bunch of other games coming out.
I will take a break for Sonic and Mario, but at least I'll take a break. At minimum, I'll take a break for Sonic because you know who I am, right? But I suspect that Starfield is going to be the only game that I get to for the rest of the year, apart from Sonic and some of Mario. And then Spider-Man 2.
I was about to say, what about Spider-Man 2?
It might wait till 2024. I didn't play Ragnarok until February, and it came out in November. These things could happen.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm saying what I'm getting at is I'm absolutely playing it. I'm going to no-life it. This is going to be my new Elden Ring. And the only thing that will take me away from it is however long it takes me to get through Sonic Superstars. And then I'll probably come back to it and finish it sometime in 2024. And all of these games are just going to have to wait. I'm sorry. You too, Forza, right? You too, Alan Wake 2. You too, Liza P. Right? So I don't know. I don't know what to say. That's just gonna be what happens.
Oh, right? And by the way, go ahead, finish.
It takes me like my playtime right now. You can look this up. Everborn Saga on Xbox. I think I got like 120 or 140 hours in Elden Ring. That took me 6 months to do 140 hours. That's the amount of available time I have.
And this is why I asked the question. Right? This is why I asked.
So, and Final Fantasy 16, I'm still playing that. I can check my stats because the PS app doesn't show you your hours played because, of course, it doesn't for some odd reason. So
really?
when I turn on the PlayStation again, no, you have to go onto the console to do that to see how many hours you played.
That's weird.
But I'm well above 30 hours. I may be like 40, 50 hours into Final Fantasy. I'm hoping I can finish it before Starfield comes out. And I started playing that very close to maybe a week after it came out. So that's just how long it takes me to beat a game. So I can't just look at the hours played. I got to say, how much available time do I have and how long will it take me to get through 80 hours? Right? And this is why I'm a huge fan of smaller campaigns. I don't care if it's full price. Like people were mad at what's that horror game that came out that was more of an action game that was like Dead Space?
Callisto Protocol.
Yeah, people are like, oh, it's too short for all that money. I was like, thank God you saved me the time. Because you know what? It didn't wear out its welcome. If that game was 25 hours, I would have been like, it's stupid. but I'm like, it had just enough there to keep me entertained for 15 hours, and I was good, and I was good to go, and I was done with it. I enjoyed my time. I'd play a
Yeah.
part 2. Respect #respect my time. This is why I can't
Bro,
mess with Returnal.
Well, Returnal 8 hours and you're good. Like it took me 8 hours, and you're
Well,
good. That's
I
what
had
I
been
beat the
playing that
main
game.
campaign in 8 hours. You can go and get the ultimate ending in I think 12 or
No,
whatever.
forget
But
about all of that.
8
But what
hours.
about when all your progress is gone because you died on a boss?
Sure, but that's #get good, son. Like the better you get, the less that happens. So in the beginning you die a lot,
Yeah,
but
no,
towards the end of
no,
it, you figured it
no.
out, and they
That's
have
not
other
respecting
things,
my
you know.
time.
Yeah.
That's not respecting my time. But my
Well,
anyway, my point
mhm,
is to run through 40 hours of a campaign. For
mhm.
me, that's going to take me a month just
Yeah.
by the way that I play.
Yeah.
So if it's 80 hours, that's 2 months, and even then, that's stretching it because then
See,
sometimes life and business stuff
you
comes
say
up.
you say the question I asked was dumb, but then you break it
No,
down and
I'm
explain
saying it.
exactly why I
Let me
asked
tell
that
you how
question.
long it's going to take for me personally, based on my available
Oh no,
time.
and it's not just you, sir. You know, #graybeards. We out here, family, business, children, the whole thing. Huge
And
monster games that try to eat your life for months. That's a factor in the equation whether you should play it or not. I'm telling you, Starfield is a little
also,
bit of a. It's a bit of a. It
well,
makes you feel a little bit. What's the word? It's not pressure, but like you get. It's too much seemingly. But please continue.
no, I was gonna say, and
Mm-hmm.
if me and Boom are right, and that the
Mm-hmm.
contract is rewritten, and we
Yeah.
get COD this year in Game Pass,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pause to play that. You know why? Because I want the salt under my comments when I share the video.
Just gotta lie with them dogs,
I,
bro. See,
I
this is
have
why you
not
get them
played
fleas.
COD since 2014 when Kevin
Yeah.
Spacey was still in people's good favor. Funny how he's back now and those charges got dropped, but that's a different
That's a different conversation altogether. Like on that topic, all I want is Call of Duty campaign. Separate them
Yes.
from their multiplayer. People are loving the multiplayer. I hear the revival is great. People are all about it. Great, good for you. I want to play the single player campaigns from beginning to end. Put them all in Game Pass. Charge me extra for the multiplayer. I'll play the single player different than the multiplayer.
So
That's what
here's
I want.
my question to answer this question. Starfield is going to be a huge game, 1,000 planets. You can do anything, go anywhere, whatever.
Yeah.
My question is, how is it going to be paced? Because when so this is something I did not realize at the time, but coming back to it when they re-released Mass Effect Trilogy, that game, even though it's a big huge time investment, the pace of the storytelling is so fast, right? It's like it does not give you a moment to breathe, and every time some big thing happens, then the story expands more, and now you have to go do the next thing, and you're on a hunt. And so the question is, will Starfield have that kind of pacing that Mass Effect had, where the story's so good that you just need to keep going, you even though it's a lot of hours in? Or is it just going to be like, here's the world, go get lost in it?
Yeah, that's the question. That's the question, right? Like the pacing, the large, the huge world that we are being given here. Like everyone talks about it like it's the greatest thing ever, but not everybody nobody has the no life, the 200-300 hours it takes to conquer this thing, right? If this is Skyrim 2.0 but in space, oh boy, right? This will take a while. I'm sorry. You know, it gives me a little bit of pause to go, hey, you know, people have been talking about this in such glowing terms, but there might be a detriment to that a little bit. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority in saying so, but you know, it is what it is. You know,
I think what you're really asking is, does the Bethesda formula fit today's audience?
Yes. That's a good question. Does that no life, got no job, staying in your basement, playing every day, every night for 8 hours straight, 10, 12, 13 hours straight, and still playing it for months, does a game like that work in today's world? And what other games are available that
I
prove
mean,
that it's
Elden
there?
Ring did that though, right? That's exactly what Elden Ring did,
Hmm, okay, okay, I
right?
can see that. I
So
can
as
see that.
long as you have so with Elden Ring, it was all about exploration. I think it's the
Hmm.
same thing for
Starfield.
Zelda.
Yeah, Starfield's also all about
Um,
exploration, basically.
right, but how is that how are they gonna introduce the exploration calling to you? Because it can't be just look anywhere, because these things are on different planets, right? So it's gonna have to be the story that leads you to want to go more places, and then when
Hmm.
you're out there, there's gonna have to be other benefits to you moving around. So it's
Yeah.
all gonna be in the way this setup is. So it can absolutely be this never-ending game
Hmm.
and the sandbox and the playground. It's just gonna be how they incentivize you moving around. That's what we're gonna have to see.
And House Flan is asking me, why am I assuming that it'd be that consuming? I'm just using Skyrim as a barometer because Skyrim is that consuming, right? And by and large, they're saying that Skyrim was a small, teeny tiny template that they used to expound to make Starfield even bigger than anything Skyrim ever was. So if Skyrim, the all-consuming game that people have been playing for many, 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 many years, is a small template of what will ultimately be what Starfield is going to be. Man, what's the size of and scale of that game look like? You know what I'm saying? That's the only reason why I'm posing that question. Don't get me wrong, I am very excited to see them reach the culmination that their vision for this. Because where else do you go after this? It's kind of like this is Mario Maker 2. After you make Mario Maker 2, how do you release another Mario game? You got to go completely left, right? And this is their final huge culmination of that big vision of go anywhere, do anything you want kind of game. I'm interested to see what it looks like. Right? I'm interested to see
Hey,
what it
completely
all is.
unrelated,
Yes,
but
sir.
did you know Barack Obama was in the latest season of Baki? Grappler Baki?
What? Like,
Yeah.
you're serious?
I'm looking at a scene right now with his father and Obama at a table.
And it's real Obama or somebody playing Obama?
I mean, they had Muhammad
Obviously.
Ali in it. He's supposed to be Obama. I I have to watch this like right away. So that's what I'm doing with the rest of my day. I'm watching this season of Baki. Okay,
Okay,
sorry.
so
Please
let
continue.
me get the super chat. That is a great diversion. You might have sold me there as well. Mr. Mr. Inferno Games, $5 super chat. He says, people like me get frustrated with Colin because we know he's intelligent enough to state reality, regardless of his preference, but sometimes doesn't. So you're saying the people who get frustrated with him are frustrated with him because they understand he's being a little malicious with his statements. Okay. Okay. I think that's probably why a lot of people get frustrated with him, because they expect more from him than he sometimes offers. Who knows? You know. But all right. All right.
Um,
Mm-hmm. I'll let
wait,
you
no,
have
I
the
said
last word. Go ahead.
OBM in the chat says completionists will
Mhm.
have a hard time with Starfield.
Yep.
So
Exactly my point. This is what I mean when I
but
say
it's not really
it's
about
you know.
beating it. It's just the main quest
Yeah.
and then the side quest and then going around and having stuff happen.
Have stuff happen.
You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess I say all this to say I'm excited about Starfield. Who's excited about Starfield? I think we're all excited about Starfield. I cannot wait for Starfield to come, because until it does, I
Whoa,
will.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Children.
Pause.
Children. That's all I'm going to say from now on. Children. Man babies. I'm excited for this game to drop, because once it does, then we can get back to some semblance of normalcy in the gaming environment and not comparing everything to what this juggernaut will potentially be. I want to see the score. You know what? Before we leave here, that's the last bit of this, and I want folks to put it in the chat as well. What is your score? Give me your Metacritic score, Mr. Everborn Saga.
92.
Go. 92.
Yep.
Not 93, not 91, 92.
92 with over 80 reviews.
Okay.
Maybe I should go higher. Maybe it should be over 100, but I'm gonna go with 80.
With over 80 reviews, 92. Okay.
Yeah, because we're not counting that you got 4 reviews, so we're gonna say you got a 94.
We have to do at least
Slow your
a
roll.
minimum requirement, minimum benchmark of 80 reviewers, and then you got 92. Okay. I would say the same 90 reviewers, at least 90 reviewers, and I'm talking 94, 95, 94, 94, 94. I think so. I think this will be one of the highest rated games ever.
So Red Monkey Butt says my biased media like PC Gamer will give Starfield an 81. That won't be enough to drown out. That's why we say 80.
That's what
reviews.
we say the number of reviews. Yes.
And I want to be very clear about this, right? Because I like to call out things when they are warranted, but I don't want to discredit the things we're calling out by complaining about stuff that is not really happening, because it kind of, it's like the cry wolf thing. There is not a Metacritic bias against Xbox. Go and do your own research and look back in the past 3 years and tell me what game you found that did not warrant the score that it got. And now you may like a game and it didn't score what you wanted to, but in the grand scheme of things, do you really feel like Halo got an 87, right?
Yep.
Forza Horizon, what was that? 92, right? 90 for Psychonauts, 90 for Flight Sim, right?
Although
you got a must play for Hi-Fi Rush.
Although Everborn, I will say, expect, and you've made this point as well, and I agree with you, expect that when you see that Starfield score, you're going to see a lot more hands in the pot as far as people who played it on PC than you will on console. Because that statement is still true. People just don't tend to like the Xbox when they play it.
Well,
if you've given the option elsewhere,
the Game Pass factor, right?
But even the Game Pass factor will also play on PC because it's day and date on PC.
No, I get it, but there's a lot of console people that are going to check this out and have been talking about this. I don't think it's going to be as far away on PC as we may.
Okay, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the breakdown of PC to console will be, because I have a feeling that will be more interesting than we've seen in the past, because all those other games by Bethesda have been more PC centric than this one, right? Being that it is part of the console first party lineage and all that. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. But okay, Mr. Everborn Saga, I think we will leave it there. We've had a great episode. We've belabored. We have beaten this one to death. I am looking forward to Starfield. You're looking forward to Starfield. I need that game in my life immediately, because it's about time. We need to move forward and see what else is on offer by all these various platforms.
Pentiment was a damn 89 or 88.
Yeah.
You don't have to. The score is gonna get what it deserves, and I think it's gonna get a 92.
Okay. I'm still sticking to my 94. We're on The Price is Right. 92 and a half. That's what's going on right now. But all right, Everborn Saga. I will prime the pump right now and say next week I'll be talking more indie games. I'll be talking smaller games. I've been lucky enough to get my hands on some game codes, so I may be talking to the people about some other games that have been happening. As we say, Starfield is drowning out a lot of the other games and a lot of other conversations happening, but I will try and counteract that narrative. But Mr. Everborn Saga, where can the fine people keep up with all of your ongoings on the internet? Where can they come and have conversations with you on X and Threads? And are you on Blue Sky, sir?
I'm not on Blue Sky, but the answer to all those questions is Everborn Saga. But if you want to catch me next weekend, you're going to catch me in the Dominican Republic. Now, I do want to say one thing before we go, though. Remember, the comment period for the CMA was up yesterday. And their preliminary decision, they said they'd have it by the 7th, which is Monday. And New Zealand said their new date is by the 8th. And the way that Microsoft had written their response says all these things can happen. So it is entirely possible that the preliminary decision could be that we're not going to require you to divest the cloud streaming because of all these things that you listed, and because they want to get it done. And it could be that the deal closes next week, or at the very least closes while I am away. Now, what are we going to do if the deal closes before the next GCP?
This is where I was going to go. I was going to say, so what you're saying this to say, last time was my fault, but next time, chances are this taste will close and we will not be on the air because he's on vacation.
Yes, this is affecting the channel growth.
This will not be my fault, ladies and gentlemen. He has said it. And if that's the case, I don't know. We'll dig into the community. We'll get the
Wait a minute. Mr. Inferno said, did we get his super? We had it up on the screen.
Yeah, we did, brother. We did. Absolutely. Let me see.
He says, people like me get frustrated with Colin. We know he's intelligent enough to state the reality regardless of preference. Sometimes doesn't.
He doesn't.
We said that. We brought that up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Apologies if you didn't catch us. We did have a conversation about
we pay the bills. Okay.
But no, if what you're saying happens, right, and there's a lot more the conversation that needs to be had, I will, break the emergency glass and see if I can get some of the great community members to join me. We'll jump on the stream. Maybe we'll get you to call in from the DR.
I'm going to be joining you from a kayak.
If Crazy Lou Gaming can keep it live and keep it like as crazy as he does from the DR, you can call in on one show and give us your takes if and when that happens, sir. I think we can make it happen. We'll figure it out.
And it would be serendipitous if that did happen. By the way, when we do that post acquisition complete show, I'm just putting this out there so you guys know what I'm thinking. I want to dedicate a show to integration and how that may look.
Yeah.
Right. Because see, you said pre and post Starfield. I think it's pre and post ABK.
Yeah, true.
Really should be.
That should really be what we should be looking at.
So I'd love to have that. So it won't be this weekend, but the following week, maybe the deal's done by then, and we can go and have that conversation. So
yeah. And another question that I will bring up: will there be multiplayer in Starfield? Question. Will there be? Hey,
nope.
Look, man. People have been doing the what do you call it, the No Man's Sky comparisons forever. Post launch, No Man's Sky got multiplayer.
Well, you know what? I could see like dogfights and things like that you could do.
No Man's Sky, bro. Post launch, it's done all of that. Now you're racing and mechs and you're doing stuff on different planets. I'm being facetious. I'm being ridiculous. But I thought I'd bring that out there. People are like, no multiplayer, please.
Just don't turn this into a service game. Just
you know. Absolutely, yes.
What I could see, and I don't know how you guys would feel about this. What about user-generated planets?
Oh yeah, user-generated content is going to be galore. Like,
I'm saying specifically planets.
Well, yeah, right. Haven't they been doing that with Skyrim? They've been creating different villages from things that don't exist, right? They've been taking the assets that exist and creating more content for that world. And in Starfield, that means more planets that don't exist, right? I can see that for sure. Remember, every conversation every Starfield conversation you have, I always take into consideration the history that is Skyrim, right? And Skyrim has a lot of that. They've created user-generated content. They've taken it in places that you would think wouldn't even exist, right? So in that world, I say Starfield is ripe for all of the same things.
All right. Have you decided on a name for your ship?
Oh, I already told you, Nebuchadnezzar. I'm going all in on yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm calling mine the Event Horizon.
There you go. A man that knows good movies.
And then what? So are you going? I know it's not like as cut and dry as this, but are you going Paragon Renegade?
Oh, whenever possible, I'm going Renegade.
Okay.
And it's unlike me because I can't help it. But whenever possible, I am going Renegade. I'm putting my foot down. That's what I'm doing.
I am. I do not plan to build any ships. I'm going to steal all of them.
Okay. Oh, so you going full like
Yes, and
you're
I'm
going
gonna be I'm gonna be a used ship salesman. That's my
uh-huh.
plan.
Okay. You're going all the way in the Jack Sparrow direction. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So I will say this, and we'll leave it here after this because the show's we're done with the show. But I again putting it into the universe for anyone who can hear me. Let us build. You've already made a big deal about the ships and everyone's ships being different and all that. Let us 3D print our ships IRL. I understand.
Oh, by
that
the
might
way,
be difficult. Figure
here's
it
another
out.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing on this square. I don't think there are superpowers. I think that thing that people think is the Force was just somebody letting off the gravity, turning off the gravity in the ship.
Okay. All right. Well, let's
before we remember where you heard that, because everybody thinks it's Force powers.
Okay.
I don't think that.
I think Everborn Saga is wrong. There are superpowers, and secondly, I think you won't get a console for the game, but you will get accessories. That's what I'm saying, and I'm gonna leave it there.
They need to make one, and they announced one right on the eve of the Halo launch. I think it's still possible, but we'll see.
Okay, well, for me, you can catch me on them.
Gamescom is where they announced the console.
I don't think you're getting a console. I don't think you're getting. I think the best case scenario. I think you're getting like I saw a bunch of people do like I saw a custom made console with the Starfield colors on the side and all that. I thought that was super cool on the white Series S, right? I think worst case scenario, you get maybe like I don't know what's their name, D-brand stuff that would then turn yours into something like that. I think that you could see. I could see that.
They made a Halo console.
I hear you, but I think that in order for them to get you what you want without having to create a whole new separate thing, I think they find ways of making your existing console look like that if you so choose.
Yeah,
like something in that direction.
Before we go, we have 200 and some odd people watching, and we got 174 likes. Can we get that up to 200 before we go, people? If you haven't liked it, if you haven't subscribed, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We do this every week, except for next week when I won't be here. But you know what I'm saying. You get
absolutely.
The point.
I am tired. I've had a great conversation with you, sir. I am hungry on a Saturday morning, so we're gonna. Well, actually, it's Saturday afternoon now, so we're gonna call it. For myself.
Oh, we're watching. What do you call it? The Red Door tonight. Insidious, The Red Door.
Okay.
That's family movie night tonight.
Okay, that's family movie night. My recommendation for well, not family viewing. But my recommendation for viewing, a recommendation that was given to me by the crazy one, Mr. Everborn Saga, and he was right. Hijack. Watch it. It's on Apple TV Plus. Featuring the man.
The ending. I don't know.
No.
Kind of stupid ending.
No. It's like you got to watch it from beginning, middle, and end. Amazing show. Absolutely
186.
Awesome.
We need 200. I don't think we should sign off till we get 200 likes, people.
On your way out, please don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't subscribed.
There's 201 people watching. There's literally enough. Even if everybody is watching, if they clicked like, we would hit 200. 188. 12 more.
All right, enough. We're calling it. We're
189. No, we're almost there. People, 11 more people. I know you. 191. Keep going. We can do it. 9 more likes. 192. 8. Here we go.
Oh Lord. He's literally doing
194. We're gonna get to 2, and then we're gonna sign off. We can do this. There's only 6 more people. 6 more people. 197.
And then it went back to 196. Somebody took it away.
3 people. 198. 2 people and 200. There we go. Now we can sign off. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend.
See what I got to
Let's do
deal
this
with, ladies and
thing.
gentlemen? For
And,
myself.
we appreciate you. We
Mr.
appreciate every
Everborn.
one of those likes.
See,
We got to
Fla-
work for it, man.
House Flan is saying Everborn Saga is holding K hostage.
Hey, you guys held him hostage because it took us so long to get to 200. Don't
For
you put that
myself-
even on me, Ricky Bobby.
For myself, Mr. Everborn Saga, it's been a great show. We enjoy having this show every day on a Saturday morning. Next week, there might not be a show, but maybe there will. We'll see what we can do.
Unless the deal closes, I'll find a way.
Unless the
I'll
deal
join
closes
from my phone.
and then he pays like exuberant costs to podcast from us while on a plane. Doubtful, but we'll see where it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, have a
we
good
got that
weekend.
Wi-Fi.
Have a great weekend. We will see y'all next week. And until then, keep up with us on them X streets. Peace.
Nice to be in orbit.